Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97 on ESPN Radio and a fine Redemption Thursday. Although it's not Redemption Thursday. There are no wagers. It's like a Libations Thursday to me. I'm taking tomorrow off. So's Tom. We're taking the day. That's what we're doing. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online at ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything if you do remember this. All 3 hours posted every day upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email the program if you like, jcs at 979 ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. And you can also watch us on YouTube. Hello, everybody. ESPN Tallahassee on the YouTube there. Yeah, so Florida State wins yesterday. Right after we get off the air, they do so with a dong. A clutch dong indeed. It's update time for that ass. Yeah, baby. I wanted to hear that in my car, the update time for that ass. I wanted that to play just as I was getting in my car because it was not long after we got off the air. And
this is correct.
And the dong made an appearance. And that was a big one.
Yeah, for a game that was slated to start at 11 in the morning. The conclusion was closer to 6:30, 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But it was the conclusion we needed. And there were a couple of great plays in the latter part.
Well, the Wells throw to the plate is
Yeah.
one we'll remember if it's the catalyst for Florida State going on to, say, win the pool play ACC tournament. Yeah.
I believe that was just as we were signing off that play happened.
Walked out there and watched that as it occurred and thought, well, how do you do, Mr. Wells? Thanks for the throw. That was big time is what it was, because we certainly thought that was deep enough to get the go-ahead run home for Notre Dame. But a great throw erases that threat, and then Florida State comes up and wins it.
Now we know why that guy's in late-inning situations, because apparently he's
That's
just got a Jeff Francoeur cannon.
It's funny, too, because sometimes you wonder about these moves, but, of course, we are reminded that they see these guys at practice every day. They know who's got the arm. They know who's got the defensive prowess. And while you may suffer some at the plate with a guy like that, he's in the game for that situation exactly. And it happens, and the play is made, and you're able to get that opportunity in the bottom of the inning to go win it, and they do. And Florida State is now on a 3-game win streak, and they are in a position, if they can win tomorrow against Louisville, in which, they could maybe win the damn ACC. It would be hilarious. I mean, it really would. It would be part of the larger narrative that we've had, and the jokes that we've made have all centered around having a middling season like this, quite literally. A season in which they were 14-14 in the ACC, a butt-ass average campaign, one that saw them need basically heroics in the sense that they went on the road and beat a Louisville team in their ballpark that hadn't lost since 2015 there. And they would win those two games just to get to 500 in the conference. We said, who knows, maybe that's the ticket. Maybe that's the bizarre way to look at it, that we've had all these years in which Florida State has put up gaudy numbers, gaudy records in and out of conference, only to fall short. Maybe they have one of these years that causes the wringing of the hands. There are weaknesses that abound and frustrate the hell out of you, and they get right at the right time, like we've seen other teams do within this conference and outside of it. Get hot, play well when you have to play well, and all is forgiven and forgotten that happened in the middle of the year.
It's a little bit backwards than you would typically do it in a broadcast sense, but straight to the chase. You typically have a good sense of what the Florida State athletic program is going to do when it travels to Louisville, Kentucky. They're not playing on the campus of the Louisville Cardinals, but they're in Louisville, Kentucky, and they're playing Louisville.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about it
I
tomorrow?
feel great. I do. I feel really good.
Here it comes.
I'm telling you, I
Here
feel
it
good
comes.
about the game. I do.
Come get your whooping, Steiner.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I do feel good. I'm really curious to see what happens in the other games. I really want to know if Florida State's going to play their way into a regional, the home regional. I mean, they're in a regional, but I don't think they will. I don't think they'll be playing here. But I don't know. You know, I've seen some projections. One of them has them going to Orlando in a regional with Auburn and UCF. Florida State will win that regional. I mean, they will. They'll win that regional. And I would, if that's the regional, and it was Baseball America's projection that I saw yesterday, Florida State wins that regional.
Does Florida State need to win the ACC outright to have a chance at
I think so.
Tallahassee? Okay,
I think so.
Even making the championship game would not be enough in your mind?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we got to see what happens with the other teams that are, right up against it. Right, there are several teams that would be looked at that are in need of a couple wins or a win, and so maybe if they falter, but yeah, I think it would behoove Florida State, of course, given that they went just 14-14 in the ACC, and prior to the series win against Louisville, really didn't have an impressive series win. Even the Clemson win had been dampened. The series win against Clemson had been dampened by the way that they fell off a cliff at the end of the year. So, all of a sudden that didn't look nearly as impressive. I felt like going in, they would need to win this tournament maybe to get a look at a regional, a home regional, but. I'm concerned less about it. I've already put it away in my mind. The mindset was that we weren't going to be playing here, which is odd, which is extremely strange. It just doesn't happen typically. But I wanted us to be playing well to give ourselves a shot at making some noise this postseason and playing at least to the potential that we saw on the piece of paper, the roster that was this team, the names that made up in the back of their baseball cards that made up the lineup. You thought this team should have been so much better. And I just wanted them to play the way we thought they were capable of playing at some point this season. And you know what? Maybe that point's right now at the end of it.
Who would you list as we stand here today? Because Cole Sands is our Friday guy. Would you give Parrish the nod over Sands at this point, pending whatever Sands is, allowed to do or not allowed to do? We're thinking Holton tomorrow. If Florida State loses that game, Sands doesn't get another chance. So actually, let's walk down that path real quick.
All right.
Say Holton pitches well, but we lose tomorrow, so we don't go play the weekend. And the last performance you have for Sands is a performance that's up to his standard of late, which is not good. And then you have the Parrish performance against a light-hitting Notre Dame team. But nonetheless, he only surrenders up a one run in 6 innings. So after Holton, who would you list as your next guy?
Well, I don't think we really have one. It would be based on how right-handed a team is or how left-handed a team is. I think it'd be based on the handedness.
Not
frankly.
that that's mattered.
I'm serious, though. I mean, I don't know. I would have to look at this would be a time for advanced metrics once you find out the regional you're playing in. I mean, there's always a time for advanced metrics. But when we quite literally don't have a legitimate number 2, then you're just going to look at the numbers and what each guy looks like against a particular roster. You're going to say, well, this guy gives us the best chance to elicit ground balls, and this is a team,
Sure.
You'd have to look at all of that.
Fair enough. And the coaches do keep meticulous situational
absolutely.
stats. And
Yes.
there is film study. That's typically something you associate with football, if anything else, basketball, but it's mostly a football term. But in baseball, the coaching staff here at FSU, Mike Martin Jr. especially, heads up quite a specific spray chart, pitching chart, all those types of things. The ground ball, fly ball ratio, situational hitting, lefty-righty splits. They do their homework and then some.
Yeah, it's great. And it's fun to talk to them about it. They're a real hush-hush during the course of the season. You can get some of those advanced numbers if you talk to the right guy at the right time, but they don't like you to use them. But they are actively involved in all of that, as they should be. I mean, if you're a modern staff with a modern bent towards the game and an understanding of the way the game's played now, you should know those things situationally or otherwise. You should know all of those numbers, and they do offensively and defensively. Sometimes it doesn't look like it, but they do. Now, they've mishandled the bullpen this year, and I don't know really who to blame other than the head coach in that situation for allowing it to continue. But I will say that at this point, they do have an emerging star in Holton and an offensive lineup that, I think is at the very least going to put pressure on teams to throw strikes and to make plays defensively. So you have a fighting chance. You have a fighting chance late in the year when maybe we thought they wouldn't, and that's all you can ask for. No matter who we roll out there, Tom, as your 2 starter, if you will, it's not going to be ideal. They're all going to be guys with warts. They're all going to be guys at various points that have let you down and made you feel like they didn't come through in a way that made you trust them. But they're also all going to be guys, at least those being considered, that have had big-time starts and had moments where you thought, okay, maybe they are the guy.
And they have the stuff to do something about it. Yeah, and the thing is, if the other path is, let's say Florida State maxes out, wins the ACC, and hosts a regional. Well, whoever the answer is to that question that I originally posed, who's your second guy, is likely going to be your Friday guy for the start of the regional, because you're playing a 1-4 game, and you're not about to start Tyler Holton in a 1-4 game. You would need to save him for, presumably the winner's bracket. So that question is a really, really important one. It's just one that, unfortunately, without the extra stuff, we don't really know the answer to.
Good news today, and the kind of news that got me smiling. I don't know what it is about this week in particular, but it seems that everybody decided at the exact same time, whether it be the networks or the various websites that cover the game, or just us talking about it around the office, people I'm talking to in my personal life, off the air, on the drive home. I mean, this has been a week in which college football has been talked about just out of nowhere in late May. By the time this season rolls around, Tom, people are going to be frothing at the mouth. I mean, it's insane that here we are in May, and legitimate conversation. I got my dad texting me last night. I was thinking about the games this year and which ones we wanted to go to on the road, and I was like, 9 o'clock at night on a Wednesday. My dad is texting me about the road games this year that he wants to go to. And it just shows the way his mind's thinking. And you and I have spent some time off the air, not even for our job, just you and I talking as friends, discussing the lineup, the team, the season, the outlook. It's weird it's happening this way in May. It is probably, again, the idea that you play Alabama right off the bat.
It's Red Balls. It's Coke in a can. You need it. It's slow. Things are slow, and this schedule is just chocked full of everything.
ESPN announced today that the kickoff time for Florida State-Miami is 8 o'clock prime time. Florida State's home game against Miami, September the 16th, will kick off at 8 p.m. on ABC. That according to ESPN and the ACC. It will be the second primetime game in 3 weeks for Florida State, because the Noles opener against Alabama in Atlanta, September the 2nd, will be on ABC at 8 p.m. as well. And we know from Lee Corso's slip, and it's not such a secret that he would be in any sort of trouble, but College Game Day will be there for that. So Florida State with opportunities to once again brand themselves, imprint themselves on the brains of recruits everywhere and young football players, but also, while we care about those kinds of things, they're the things that remain on the periphery because wins and losses matter far more. And what a way to start your campaign. Primetime games, the world watching, the world of college football, the fanaticism that goes with. If Florida State were to win their first 3 games, and 2 of them were against the likes of Alabama and, of course, Miami here, the celebration and the enthusiasm as we geared up for the remaining 9 games on the schedule would be pretty intense, huh?
Well, this is how you know that we're all addicted to college football, because you say that and I go, well, wait a minute now. NC State could present a problem or two. I'm thinking down the road. It's like the web. Yeah. It's just this very, very woven web.
I do believe, actually, that is a concern. I mean, it's on the periphery because right now the game is Alabama and the other, the announcement that Miami will be coming here for their annual ass kicking at 8 o'clock on September the 16th. That's all great. It allows us to smile and celebrate and think about all the previous times we've beaten Miami, the 7 in a row. But I would say to you that NC State's a problem no matter what, because they've got a good defensive front, and emotionally speaking, I do wonder where we'll be at. It'll be exhausting to play these 2 games so close together, Alabama and Miami. I could see that being a game where you're going to win that game perhaps just physical prowess and having better players, but emotionally charged, I don't know that you're going to equal what NC State will come out of the locker room with.
Well, they have a decent quarterback, too. So,
yeah.
Defensive line and quarterbacks, and I haven't looked at their first 3 weeks, but I can't imagine it's more difficult than Alabama and rivalry game.
It would be impossible
in your first 3 weeks. So one would think they'd get the jump on us from a film standpoint. We have bigger fish to fry. But that's the hard part, is that's not the story at all. NC State's not the story at all.
By the way, their first 3 games, sorry, since you brought it up, I'll let you know. They do play South Carolina out the gates, first game of the year. Then they take on Marshall and Furman. So they should be bare minimum 2-1. I would favor NC State over South Carolina right now to go 3-0, but that's a war, so we'll see.
Okay. Yes, so they have the offseason plus 2 extra weeks to prepare for us while we're preparing for Alabama especially. But, again, even though that's not the story, the NC State game, that's just it speaks to there's no rest for the weary that first month. We talked about last year the first 7 games. If you can get to the bye week at 6-1, then everything that you need is in front of you. And that was before Louisville emerged on the scene and had its own national title hopes for the better part of 2 months. But in this particular season, if you can get through the first month of the year at 3-1, then you have everything in front of you because you're facing Duke, Wake Forest. You have a bye sprinkled in between those two games, and then you get Louisville, and then you're into the second half of your schedule. But if you can survive September and go 3-1 with the NC State game being that dangerous, moderately dangerous game, then full steam ahead. Everything that you want is still on the table in front of you.
As for Louisville, since you brought them up, they did lose 4 games last year, Tom. It should be noted.
That's why I said 2 months, the better part of 2 months.
I'm just saying they did lose 4 games despite the start they got off to. But you look, they've got Purdue, which is a weird game right off the bat. A schedule that's just fun for me for whatever reason. I like the idea of seeing Purdue and Louisville on the field together. I'm weird that way. Purdue always does something for me. They do. They're like Wyoming. When I see Wyoming, I'm like, all right, Wyoming's on.
Something about librarians,
It's very odd, and that's true in real life, by the way.
That is, yeah.
As an aside,
Purdue is the librarian of college football for you.
Just look at you, Purdue.
I appreciate you.
I do, Purdue. I bet you're sneaky. So anyhow, Purdue. I can't say what I could say if we were on satellite, but Purdue in Louisville, that's at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Purdue will be out of their element in that game. They want to be in a sleepy environment. They don't want to be exposed like that with all the bright lights.
No,
that's not their cup of tea.
They need a hard living, sleepy environment.
Yeah, they need. Yeah, maybe you know what? Purdue wishes they were in Vermont.
The townsfolk typically are working. They can't make it to the game because they're working on a Saturday. That's the environment.
They're earnest like that.
Yes,
Huh? They're very earnest. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's Purdue, and then Louisville's at North Carolina. All right, that's a lot of fun. Then they host Clemson. So it's kind of interesting for Louisville to start Purdue, Carolina, Clemson. They'll beat the out of Purdue, but I just there was a time when I could not say that, Tom. Purdue could have risen to the challenge and made that an interesting game.
The couple of years Breeze was there or something like that?
Yeah, well, they've had a few quarterbacks come down the pike there at Purdue, man. It's a shame that program is just balls sorry now because they used to have a little something. It's Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9, ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. The place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Unbelievable quality, now through unbeatable price.
TNT Supercenter is
$10 to $40 off, only at the
tractors. They have the Mahindra 4540 utility tractor for only $11,995. It has a 3-point lift capacity of over 3,500 pounds and Mahindra's 41 horsepower Tier 4 compliant eco-friendly diesel engine with MCRD technology. MCRD stands for Mahindra's Common Rail Diesel Technology, allowing a Mahindra tractor to pass strict emission standards without the use of a diesel particulate filter. Bottom line to you, less maintenance, less downtime, and less cost. TNT and the Mahindra 4540 tractor, making the competition green with envy.
Hey, Wally Woodham here. In 1974, I set the national high school passing record at Leon High with 3,560 yards.
Jimmy Jordan here. Wally, I broke your passing record at Leon the very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
The Furniture Bank of Tallahassee, a division of Echo, is the only local program that collects and distributes gently used furniture free of charge to Leon County residents in need. Our Free Furniture Bank donates to eligible clients such as families recovering from fire or disaster, formerly homeless clients moving into their own homes, and veterans in a rehousing program. In 2016, we helped 138 families, including 33 vets, rebuild their lives. For more information or to have your furniture picked up, call 224-ECHO. Call 224-ECHO.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, I'm Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. Some roofers are like a bad boyfriend. They make lots of promises, but in reality, they're just cheap. They don't own up to their mistakes, and they leave you with a lot of regret. Parker Brothers Roofing stands behind every installation, and if a mistake is made, we own it and fix it. Our customers never have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Don't start your day off with the same old boring breakfast. Stop by the Bagel Market and Bistro on Thomasville Road and the Persimmon Hills Shopping Plaza. They have fresh baked bagels and cream cheese every Monday for only $1.50. Green smoothies and great salads like the spinach apple salad. Muffins and cinnamon rolls are also options for breakfast. Sandwiches, salads, and more for lunch and dinner. Open 7 days a week. Check them out online at thebagelmarketandbistro.com or on Facebook and give them a call at 765-0598.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. When is the first of the finals games get started? How long do we have to wait? A month?
Well, we'll start next month. So I believe I saw June 1st, which would be a week from today.
Yeah, well, that would be assuming, of course, that the Cavs take care of the Celtics tonight, right? Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals, 8:30. LeBron James needs 28 points to overtake Michael Jordan as the NBA's all-time postseason scoring leader. And in that situation, well, he's been really good. Between his time in Miami and Cleveland, LeBron James' teams are 11-0 in series after they've gone up 3-1, which is a big deal when you consider that, of course, the team they'll be facing in the finals just blew that lead a year ago.
And the star that team added also did in the Western Finals blow a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, that is correct. So you can't take those things for granted, right? And also, Tom, I'm going to ask you, just because it's on the line now, the Penguins have their sights set on repeating their title from a year ago, obviously, but they'll have to first win a Game 7 of their own against the Senators. The Senators are 0-5 in Game 7s in their history, if you're wondering, which is tied with the Coyotes for the most losses without a win amongst all major sports teams in any sport.
Woo.
Yeah, so they've struggled in that situation.
That'll hurt your feelings.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I read that this morning. I thought, wow.
That's even worse than the most sweeps or something like that, because to get to a Game 7, your hopes have to be elevated.
Yeah. No, that's dangling the carrot, right? Yeah, that'll hurt That'll hurt. But that's a situation tonight. I'll be watching. I'm assuming, of course, that Pittsburgh will win this game, but
what happens if Ottawa goes up 1-0? That would be
right.
the problem.
The clamps get put down, and
well,
there you go.
The building turns against the team and the whole nine. Yeah.
Did you watch the previous game?
I did not.
I did.
No.
I did. I've watched more postseason hockey this year, this round, than you have.
Yeah, this round, no doubt. Yeah.
I've watched these games. I've actually thoroughly enjoyed them because, frankly, it's been so much better than the basketball. I will say this, and this is not so much a hockey topic as much as it is just an overriding conversation about where we're at with American sports and television, and we talk so much about the changing landscapes and what ESPN is investing in and what they're not, and what's it going to look like 2 and 3 years from now, and will football remain on top for the foreseeable future because, again, problems with parents letting their kids play the game with all the talks of concussion and long-term effects and developing brains and all of that stuff and the debate that goes on within the sport. I think hockey is slowly, and some of the numbers bear this out, gaining just a tiny bit of a foothold in the public's eye. I think you're starting. I'll tell you why I say that. I've noticed that shows and people and writers in markets and nationally too, who otherwise would never have cared to mention hockey, have at least come around to the idea that, you know what, I'm going to openly admit to you, and I'm talking about these people that I've heard commenting on the playoffs, they've shown a willingness to say, I'm not going to lie, I'm not watching a lot of regular season hockey. The season is so long, and I don't know enough about the game. But my intrigue was piqued a year or two ago when a few of the series went 7, and they were electric, and there were fights and star power and back and forth, and I tuned in, and I liked what I saw. The intensity was there. And you and I have said, man, if you're trying to get somebody into hockey, two ways to do it. The first and foremost is to take them to a game. Going to see hockey live is the number one way to win somebody over to hockey because in person you see the speed and the athleticism that is required in that sport and the intensity and the physicality and also the beauty. You know, they talk about soccer being the beautiful sport. When you go to live hockey and you can see plays develop, sometimes TV doesn't allow, most of the time TV doesn't allow for that. When you're there and you see a play develop and you see the intricacies of that and how guys play off each other and how they understand where they're going to be at any given time, you can begin to understand the strategy a little bit better watching in person. The line shifts, all that changes, all that stuff. The angles. So you take them to a game, and the other would be just to sit them in front of a television if you have to, if you can't get them there for playoff hockey, because playoff hockey doesn't really need to sell anything. It's intense from the second they drop the puck, and there is a physical element that especially American sports fans absolutely love because it's a bloodlust sport in the postseason. It's nasty. People are playing for keeps, and it's relentless, and it's fast, and it's filled with energy and passion, and the fans get into it. It's intense. And so anyhow, I've noted, I'll give you an example. Jalen Rose is out there talking the other night when I'm driving home. we get out of here sometimes 7 o'clock or whatever, that show comes on. It's not my favorite show, but he's talking and he's saying, man, a couple of years ago I started watching the hockey playoffs just because I love them now. I can't miss them. And, Charles Barkley did it the other night on the NBA and talking about it. I've heard other NBA guys start to talk about it. There was the running joke that occurred with that guy on Twitter. I can't remember his name, but it was a hilarious post in which he said, white people have been hiding this hockey for some time. It's really good stuff, And anyhow, I think it's just a little bit.
Well, I think the door is open because the NBA playoffs have been so bad. So
and the NBA regular season is ass.
People are looking for something. So, especially the playoffs, though. Now, I will say I watched Game 4, I guess it was. Yeah, it's Game 4 of Cleveland and Boston, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. I started right about, by the time I got home, I was playing trivia on Tuesday, and I get home, and it's just as LeBron gets his fourth foul. So I watched Kyrie go off. And that is, oh, my God.
Well, he's good, yeah.
When he's really good, though, I mean, it harkens back to some of the better two guards. And admittedly, that's a hot streak. He's catching fire in a game. But there's just, he can do everything. He can hit you a 30-foot three. He can drive to the basket left or right. He makes incredible cuts. He even delivered a couple of really unbelievable vision passes. As he was driving to the basket, he kicked out for three. I didn't even see that lane open. The stuff that you see LeBron make a pass for because he's so tall. Kyrie found an angle. Great to watch. But by and large, the last 5 weeks of the NBA playoffs has been awful, just awful. And people are used to this time of year tuning into something. So I think more and more at least give hockey a chance while basketball's on commercial. But then you know what? They forget to tune back to basketball. I mean, Chuck said it last year, Charles Barkley, when he was on Mike and Mike. They asked him about the Western Conference round one. He goes, sorry, guys, I can't give you a straight answer on that. I was watching the hockey last night. So, I mean, I can tell you in generalities what's going on, what I think is going to happen, but I can't speak to last night's game. I didn't watch a minute of it. I was watching the hockey playoffs.
It is a larger problem that those in the sport, the NBA that is, are talking about, not losing out to hockey, but losing out to anything else, which is happening because obviously people have many more options now than they used to, and these playoffs have not been compelling, and we're talking about the same two teams going back to the finals, which will be rewarding, I think. But there is a growing sentiment, and I am very surprised by this, and then also at the same time, maybe not as much. You've got to have talking points while you wait for this thing to play out, the inevitability of it all. But a lot of the talking points lately have been, and grant you, these are people who are paid to make a splash and sometimes say things they don't really mean. They're playing characters. And that is that Golden State's going to sweep Cleveland. No, they're not. They're not going to sweep Cleveland. And I've heard numerous people make that assertion. You know, it's funny how fickle people are. Before Cleveland lost that game, somewhat inexplicably to Boston, a game they were up by 20 at home after they had just absolutely pulverized Boston in Boston. The talk was that LeBron's crowning achievement and the moment he will ascend to a place equal to or beyond Michael Jordan will be when Cleveland wins this championship. He will also be embraced in a way he never has been because people don't like the way that Golden State's been put together and the cheap way out that Durant took. And nobody wants to root for a super team, etc., right? And then they lost that game, and it's, LeBron's prone to this kind of chokiness. I'm not sure that they're even going to be competitive with that Golden State team. I mean, look at what Golden State did to San Antonio, and largely overlooking the fact that Tony Parker went out right at the beginning of this series, and Kawhi Leonard, the second best player in the world, who had San Antonio up by 20-something points on the road, goes out for the remainder of the series. I mean, the narrative shifted so quickly about who was what in a two-game stretch that these over-the-top absurdities get thrown around on a regular basis.
Go back 5 years. Go back 6 years when the Miami super team was created. People were saying the same thing about LeBron. I know you and I defer a little bit in the nuance of, Durant's choice versus LeBron's choice, but the way that it was talked about is the same. There was a fatigue because Boston had started it, and people were tired of the Celtics before they even started playing because they built their own big three. Then Miami built their big three through free agency and through collusion. And so people were really mad at the Heat and screw this super team. And then San Antonio was the good guy. But then LeBron goes back, and now he's the good guy, and KD makes his move, and they're the bad guy. It's just LeBron was in this chair not that long ago as the one facing the crossfire for being what Kevin Durant is.
Well, I do think they're different, and you and I do differ on that. There are similarities, but I do think they're different, and I think the fans view it differently, and you're saying hypocritically so in some cases. That I do agree with. There's nuance to our discussion, and we understand that because two things can be true at the same time.
Heaven forbid.
Yes, but I will say I have also never understood the disdain for LeBron. I made fun of the decision the way everybody else did because it was self-evident that was a bad move. That was ridiculous. Again, as I described it, you peed in the face of the fans of Cleveland. That's what you did, and you had a national stage to do it. You held basically the fans hostage for a stretch of time so that in prime time you could pee on their face. That's never going to go over well. But that's also the worst thing he's ever done that we're aware of. And it's not a crime, it's a PR blunder. It's a guy getting bad advice. That's all that is. And yet he's talked about, I mean, people have hostility towards him, and I do not get it. I've sought to find the answer to that for some time because we didn't do that to Jordan. We didn't do that. Now, social media has a big say in all of this, and it wasn't around in Jordan's time. And I think that's a big part because it creates narratives, and then it also, I think to some degree, kind of washes over and ignores truths for the sake of narrative. Because at the end of the day, LeBron James is now looking to become the 7th player in NBA history to play in 7 straight NBA Finals. The previous 6 players to accomplish that feat played for the Celtics, and that was the Bill Russell era when they won it every year. So if you were on that team, you accomplished it. But nobody else has. Nobody. And I mean, everything from passing Michael Jordan as the all-time scorer in the postseason to winning NBA titles to doing it in a place like Cleveland to all these, I just don't, to being the complete player that he is, unselfish as he is, I just don't get it.
Well, and somehow from Game 3 to Game 4, the narrative continued that LeBron is somehow letting his team down, but didn't he shoot 15 to 27 from the field and go 34, 6, and 5 in Game 4?
And, by the way, after that game, when all of the praise was rightfully being heaped upon Kyrie Irving for his heroics and stepping up at a time when they needed him because LeBron was dealing with foul trouble, etc., he had this to say about Kyrie. He's an incredible young player, a superstar, and it's his time to shine. Again, showing signs of being completely unselfish and...
Well, and didn't Kyrie score a grand total of 2 points in the fourth quarter, too? He had 40 through 3. So
yeah, it's well, but when they made the comeback,
sure, he's the most important player in that game. It's though people were equating LeBron's early 4 fouls with this, something akin to not scoring a point in the fourth quarter of the previous game. That's not even in the same league. I get it. They're down 10 at the time that it happens, and Kyrie brings them back from the dead. But it's not like LeBron played a poor game in Game 4.
Well, and I don't think he, listen, he doesn't need us to be his personal PR agent. But to me, it's a backlash to the ridiculous, over-the-top shift in conversation about LeBron James that happens from game to game. The reactions are so severe when we talk about him specifically, nobody else in the game. Now, that's because he's the best player in the game, but a lot of times it's blatantly unfair and silly. He's either superhuman or he's not. And when he's not, it somehow turns into he's a terrible human being who doesn't deserve to be in the conversation of greatest players of all time. Do you know that LeBron-led teams are 9-0 in closeout games over the last 3 seasons, 8-0 on the road? Well, Cleveland, 8-0 on the road. We always talk about the mark of greatness, being able to win big games on the road. He's undefeated in those games. It's crazy.
How do you figure the finals right now?
Golden State's the better team. They should win.
Last year, I was of the mindset before KD, because it feels like KD's always been on the Golden State Warriors.
Well, Golden State would have won if dumbass doesn't get himself booted. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
And I think the previous year, Cleveland should have won.
Yes.
So that's been reversed, is all that has.
I thought before the final started that Golden State was going to win in 5, and it looked all hunky-dory until it wasn't.
Right.
And then, the 3-1 lead was blown in history. But I really believe that Cleveland this year, just for me, I think they're more potent.
Yeah, but okay. If these two teams were as they were a year ago, I'd pick Cleveland to win again. But they're not. Kevin Durant is a pretty big difference. And I don't think that – I can't think of anybody that's equipped to stop them in a 7-game series from winning the NBA championship. I just don't think – I think San Antonio would have won 2 games, maybe 4-7, maybe. It's just too much to ask.
Well, I think seeing what San Antonio was able to do with one superstar from a scoring standpoint on the court, tells me that Cleveland has more than that. I mean,
Cleveland can score with them to some extent, as much as you can score with Golden State.
I think they can. I think they can go straight toe-to-toe with them.
From a scoring standpoint, that's the closest they'll get, though. I don't think from a defensive standpoint they're going to stop Golden State. Not 4 times. Not 4 times to win it.
What do you think from a defensive standpoint? Golden State has enough in its arsenal to stop Cleveland? I mean, the way that Love has been playing the last handful of games, he played a great first half, 3 quarters of Game 4.
Well, I hope you're right. Let's just say that.
What Kyrie is now, I mean, there's something to the idea that you've seen it through. You've had it happen. He's been a world champion. They're the defending world champions.
Well, that's why people get excited about this series. We've all been waiting for this series. We've all wanted to see what this series will look like because you can make compelling arguments for Cleveland to make this a good series, maybe even win the series. Or, of course, you can make the easy argument for Golden State to get revenge for losing the series last year with the addition of Kevin Durant. And that's all true, and that's fun, and the give and take in that conversation is both a lot of fun for sports fans, but it's also fair. I mean, you can find elements for each where you say, okay, well, listen, what are they going to do with this, or what are they going to – I got you. But that's what stinks about the rest of these playoffs is that it's just been sitting around crossing your –
It's kind of like when you're talking about junkies in college football. You know, I know what they're doing, and there's a video on the front page of the 4-letter, and it's Stephen A. talking about how buzz is. I know I'm doing this. I don't know why, and I'm sorry.
That's all
in advance, I'm sorry. But he's talking about how Durant is out for blood because LeBron is, from a big talking point standpoint, Durant's kryptonite. Like Durant can't do anything to LeBron. But what I want to see is that got me thinking, okay, well, if that's the case on offense, is Durant going to try and check LeBron? Because no, he's not. Draymond Green's going to be on LeBron. And that's the way it's going to go.
Yes, that's exactly how it's going to go.
So I participated in that without clicking on the play button. I participated in that mental exercise.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't click on the play button.
Well, it doesn't matter if he wants to go to LeBron on one half of the court. He's not man enough to do it on the other side of the court. If he does, then you want to talk about building credibility.
He's not going
He's
to be
not
able to,
equipped.
Well, there's nobody really all that equipped.
No, Draymond's Ron Artest for a period of time was the best in the game to try and contain LeBron. Draymond is now in that role.
It's funny, you were bringing up guys that could guard LeBron or have success in doing so, and I'm thinking of, and you brought up Ron Artest, and he came to mind, and it's funny because I think of people like Ron Artest, same body types, Dennis Rodman, guys like that, and what do they all have in common? Well, they're willing to sacrifice, and they're crazy.
Got some middle linebacker.
They got some issues that they're working through. Things that they didn't get in their youth that they're now trying to find on the basketball court all these years later. So if you've got a crazy son of a bitch who's 6'9", built like a you-know-what, and is a little bit crazy, you got a shot at slowing him down a little bit.
For a game.
That's about it. Yeah, it's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
All spring long for all the heart-pounding moments in the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's held in a shot. Safe. Rebound.
Corner Pocket on Appalachia Parkway next to Earth Fair is your headquarters for FSU and Major League Baseball. Trivia Tuesdays, Beer Bingo Thursdays, and of course, all the moments you'll never forget. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Staples knows that when your spreadsheets no longer spread, it's time. When your presentations are not presentable, it's time. And when tensions in the office are high,
No, tensions are very, very high.
it's definitely time. And it's times like these when pros turn to Staples. Staples has a full range of tech services to help your business with everything from data recovery to virus protection. And right now, get $50 off PC diagnostic and repair service, so your business won't miss a beat. Staples, it's pro time. Ends 5/27. Service does not include parts.
There are paint projects, and then there are paint projects. Start yours at the Home Depot with Memorial Day paint savings of $10 off 1-gallon cans and $40 off 5-gallon buckets. That's not just more for the money. That's more for the living room and dining room, or maybe an extra bedroom or two. Unbelievable quality, unbeatable prices with Memorial Day paint savings of $10 to $40 off, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through May 29th.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan, and it's here. Kraft Nissan's Memorial Day Summer Kickoff with additional holiday incentives of $500 to $1,000 along with 0% interest for 72 months on 11 models. This is our biggest sale of the year with up to $3,000 off Versa, Sentra, and Frontier, up to $4,000 off the best-selling Rogue, $5,000 off Muranos, up to $6,000 off Altimas, and $7,000 off Maximas. Plus, trade in your Toyota or Honda and receive an additional $1,000 on your trade. And in honor of our veterans and Memorial Day, Kraft Nissan has a military program that gives you our best price plus an additional $500, $750, or $1,000 depending on the model you choose. Finally, let Kraft Nissan add to your summer fun with a free 5-day, 4-night cruise for two with any purchase. And as always, Kraft Nissan's exclusive free lifetime warranty on every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles. Tallahassee is officially a Nissan town because Kraft Nissan gives you more value for your dollar. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks. Ace is your neighborhood place for everything Yeti, from coolers to drinkware. And right now, for the first time ever, Yeti is on sale. During the Ace Memorial Day sale, save 25% on Yeti Rambler stainless steel drinkware. It's virtually indestructible and keeps drinks hot or cold for longer. So hurry into your local Ace and save 25% on Yeti stainless steel drinkware. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members only through June 4th. Excludes Duracoat colors and jugs. See participating stores for details.
Give summer more flavor with Eckrich smoked sausage. Rich flavor that comes from carefully crafting everything. Like smoking our hardwood smoked sausage in real smoke. Whether you're hosting a backyard cookout, celebrating on a warm summer night, or just gathering around the dinner table, Eckrich simply gives life more flavor. Enjoy the great taste of Eckrich. Available at your local Winn-Dixie.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a $1 million bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call, because we're going to let 1 million people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts, and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now, and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait.
800-489-1397. 800-489-1397. 800-489-1397. That's 800-489-1397.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Good song. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. At Jay Cameron Show. You know what? Doesn't happen in hockey. Stoppage in play every other trip down the floor because of a lot of fouls. Lots of stoppage. That from Mario. Yeah.
I agree. Some games can get offsides happy, though, in hockey. Tonight's going to be great. This will be the first game of this round for either Western or Eastern I'm going to watch. Game 7. Sweet.
Game 7s are great, right?
Even if it is with Ottawa's boring-ass trap. Yeah.
It's only May, but I'm going to go ahead and call for a Cat 5 maintain for Week 1. Woo, suck it, Bama, at Jay Cameron Show. Michael, you can't call for a Cat 5 maintain. It's just not some willy-nilly thing that you get to do. I mean, maybe you can amongst your fan base there. But I'm as the guy who originated the Cat 5 maintain, I must tell you that you can't just willy-nilly be throwing around Cat 5s. The Jeff Cameron Show is the one who throws around Cat 5s. We have a siren and all.
Then we release the white smoke outside the studios.
The whole to-do, yeah. People see it from afar, and they know today's a good day. So I think it's great, obviously, that you're excited. 8 o'clock, Bama in Atlanta. There is a problem with issuing a Cat 5 maintain for road games in unique locales. I tend to like to throw around Cat 5s for a home game, the comfort of our backyard, our home community of Tallahassee, Florida, where others are there to pick you up, help you out, see that you make it home in a safe manner.
That's what a community is.
That's right. This community, Tom. But when you're in Atlanta, where transportation is hell on earth, and it can be sketchy, I don't know that you need to just be wandering about in a Cat 5 state. You've got to kind of keep it together. It can maybe only be a Cat 4.
Well, wait a minute, though. Isn't the Cat 5 maintain about maintaining? Or is it about letting loose?
It's a little bit of both. It is about maintaining, but I think people have taken that and used it and applied it loosely. They look at it more as a mere suggestion because it's the kind of game where one might get down. And they just plow right through the Category 5 warning, if you will, and say, oh, yeah, Cameron's called for a Cat 5 maintain. That's code for let's get hammered. See, it's been bastardized, Tom. This whole thing has been co-opted in a way that is a little unfair.
We need to return the Cat 5 to family values.
No, I don't like that either. No.
We need to return the Cat 5 to a state of fine balance.
That's correct.
Between family values and debauchery.
That's right. I think Cat 5 has really, the spirit of a good Cat 5 maintain has always lived in that 3 category, if truth be known. Take it to the 3. Get a little loose. Gather yourself in time to remember the game and enjoy yourself.
Little thrizzy for T. Lizzy?
Yeah, that's all that is. So I'm saying that's kind of what people have taken it, and they've taken it to this whole other level where the Cat 5 means they take off their shirt inexplicably at 2 p.m. and begin doing, keg stands.
I thought the Cat 5, and again, this is just about what we intended it to be.
Yes,
like,
yes.
We
that this is such a big game. I know that you're inclined to get a little too crazy, but let us warn you, as veterans of the scene, you've got to maintain because you want to see a game of this magnitude and not get too loose. That's what the warning was.
Sure, and you're the founding father of this phenomenon, but I'd like to think that I'm a founder as well.
You are.
So as the founders of this particular concept, I think what we intended for people to do is maintain until you get to what? Sundown later in the fall or, 5, 6 o'clock, and then you can take the gloves off.
It's all relative to the start time of the game specifically.
Typically, it's an 8 p.m. kick. So, if
there have been very few Cat 5s at noon.
Ooh.
They happened a few times in my college days. When we would play Miami back then, a lot of times that was a noon kick, and you just never stopped from the previous night. There were no categories. It was just everybody was a mess.
So in the modern day and age, couldn't you issue a Cat 5 for a nooner as Friday night,
Yeah, you got to keep it together.
Take it easy.
It's tough
Friday
going to
night.
that stadium for a noon game, hot as Hades, struggling from the night before.
Hard midnight curfew, that kind of thing?
Well, I'm not big on curfews, but yeah, just it's a matter of the frequency with which you order another drink.
Sure. Yeah, curfews, that's a little bit.
We're not doing that.
That's fascist.
No, you stay out till 4 if you want. I don't care. But it's you got to gather yourself at least and maintain. maintain over the time that you're out. I don't care when you get home, just what you do while you're out.
Free to do what you like, but,
Yes.
choose the right path.
That's correct. If I have to remove and revoke, I will, but I don't want to go there. That's why we're screaming from the mountaintops, maintain. Hour number 2 forthcoming.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
About being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
TNT Supercenter is your official dealer for Mahindra tractors. They have the Mahindra 4540 utility tractor for only $11,995. It has a 3-point lift capacity of over 3,500 pounds and Mahindra's 41 horsepower Tier 4 compliant eco-friendly diesel engine with MCRD technology. MCRD stands for Mahindra's Common Rail Diesel Technology, allowing a Mahindra tractor to pass strict emission standards without the use of a diesel particulate filter. Bottom line to you, less maintenance, less downtime, and less cost. TNT and the Mahindra 4540 tractor, making the competition green with envy.
The Furniture Bank of Tallahassee, a division of Echo, is the only local program that collects and distributes gently used furniture free of charge to Leon County residents in need. Our free furniture bank donates to eligible clients such as families recovering from fire or disaster, formerly homeless clients moving into their own homes, and veterans in a rehousing program. In 2016, we helped 138 families, including 33 vets, rebuild their lives. For more information or to have your furniture picked up, call 224-ECHO. Call 224-ECHO.
Don't start your day off with the same old boring breakfast. Stop by the Bagel Market and Bistro on Thomasville Road and the Persimmon Hills Shopping Plaza. They have fresh baked bagels and cream cheese every Monday for only $1.50. Green smoothies and great salads like the spinach apple salad. Muffins and cinnamon rolls are also options for breakfast. Sandwiches, salads, and more for lunch and dinner. Open 7 days a week. Check them out online at thebagelmarketandbistro.com or on Facebook and give them a call at 765-0598.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
This is Adrian Lawrence. Kyrie Irving's left ankle is feeling good, so says Tyronn Lue. The Cavs will likely need Irving if they plan to close out the Eastern Conference Finals tonight against Boston. He's been averaging just over 26 points a game in this series. You won't want to miss a moment of Game 5. Coverage starting at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Potential top pick Lonzo Ball says he will not work out for the Celtics, who happen to hold the #1 draft pick. Team president Danny Ainge told Boston's 98.5 The Sports Hub that it's not an ideal situation since he wants to evaluate all top talent. But Ainge also noted that the Celtics have drafted players who wouldn't work out for them before. To the NFL, coming off his best season, Gerald Hodges is signing a one-year deal with the Bills, per ESPN's Adam Schefter. The linebacker finished with 83 tackles, 3 sacks, and 2 interceptions in his 4th year in the league. In the NFC East, still no Odell Beckham Jr. at day 3 of OTAs. The Giants star receiver previously said that he was going to join the team today for voluntary workouts, but he's still MIA.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Hello. Hope you're well. Jeff Cameron, Tom Lang. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. If you do, remember you can get caught up all 3 hours. Get posted to the program, to the website, I should say, and iTunes upon the conclusion of the program, and it's done with limited commercial interruption. That's a good thing, thanks to our great sponsor, folks at Southland Commercial and SVN and Carlton Dean, carltondean.com. Learn how to make some money in commercial real estate. We got the off-market deals to boot. It's good stuff, carltondean.com. Email the show if you want. It's jcs at 979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. WTSM app works for your mobile devices, too, and we're on YouTube. Type in ESPN Tallahassee. At Jay Cameron Show, at _Tom Lang. All I know is Bama Mom will need a Cat 5 maintained. Go check that gif of her leaping into the throng of fans there, drunk and irate.
That will be the interesting part. I know that a lot of Noles who are listening to this program made their way over to Jacksonville for the neutral site game that we played against Alabama 2008.
To Cody Fagg to the hizzy.
Yeah. But I wonder, how will our fans interact these days in Atlanta and around the stadium?
I think it'll be fine. Florida State and Alabama don't have acrimony, and in addition, there's a connection. I mean, Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban's closeness and philosophical approach to coaching and building a program and recruiting, all the same. I would think that the resentment that Alabama fans feel towards them is probably omnipresent to some degree with their success. So no matter what game they travel to in a given year or a neutral site clash, they'll get a little blowback because people hate the team that wins as frequently as they do. Just as Yankee fans must surely feel a sense of, we hate your ass everywhere they go because of historical greatness. I think that's true of Patriots fans currently, Cowboy fans for forever. If you got a lot of Super Bowl victories, 49ers fans had a stretch like that too. Steelers fans, if you've won a lot, there's a level of disdain you can expect. But the animosity that rises to where you see the ugly stuff in the game that we all hate, that would be reserved for like Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, maybe.
Florida State. Yeah.
Well, Florida, Georgia, Florida. Yeah, I've always felt like, back in the day, that I don't know how it is now because I haven't been in so long, but way back in the late 80s and early 90s, I actually had the opportunity to go to some Florida, Georgia games. I always marveled at the level of hatred there. I mean, it was ugly. I mean, really ugly. I was like, good Lord, they legitimately hate each other. This is ridiculous.
This is when they still called it the cocktail party,
World's
which they've changed.
Largest outdoor cocktail party.
I've yet to go to one of those. So is it something worth checking off the list?
Well, I like, this is part of the larger discussion. And as you get older, well, yes, I'd say yes, it is. Because I know this is, look, when you're all in on all things Florida State and the show's central theme is usually something regarding Florida State athletics, or certainly something to do with Tallahassee to some extent. But as I get older, and just in truth, my passion for and love of college football being what it is, I do want to be present for all the great rivalries. I want to see. I've never been to an Alabama-Auburn game. I'd love to go to an Alabama-Auburn game. I'd like to go to an Ohio State-Michigan game. And even some of the lesser tier rivalries I've wanted to go see that maybe we don't hold on high as much. I'd like to see an Iowa-Nebraska game or something. Those two programs hate each other. I'd like to see that because they're right up, they're next to each other. I'd like to see Oregon State. Washington State strikes me as interesting. I would do that. So yeah, my answer is anywhere there's a great rivalry. Or one that's been built through the ages, or even is recent. It's worth your time. But the stadium's split right down the middle, and it's fascinating.
But it gets a little unruly, huh? Around the stadium.
If you're like, I think the one I went to, the last one would have been in 90 or 91, something like that. Yeah.
Really?
It's been a long time. Why would I? I mean, there was no reason for me.
Sure, just the idea that it's a couple hours drive away.
Yeah. But, back in the day, it would get ugly. And I would imagine that's still in play to some degree. You hate when it gets like that. That's really silly because, while I love rivalries and I love sort of the net. Listen, I make fun of Miami every chance I get. And I'm going to later today because I see that they're on the schedule for 8 p.m., hence the reason for the Cat 5 talk. But Miami certainly can't be trusted to do their part, so I'm not so sure that I'm going to look at that as a Cat 5 just yet, but more on that in the 5 o'clock hour. What I'll say is that for all of my pent-up frustrations over the years and throughout the 90s and 80s for Miami, when you get in your 30s and 40s and you get married and you have kids, you can properly place that in the category it belongs, which is it's a football game. When you're in your 20s and teens, you don't do that.
That's not good for this program.
I'm just saying it's life. It's life or death.
Yes. Yes. Always.
No,
Always.
it's not. I want to win that game more than I want to win almost any other game, maybe any other game. And I like beating Miami. I take great personal satisfaction in their pain. And I have it a little twisted. That's the one that's probably a little beyond what's reasonable.
Yeah, even as a father of two.
Yeah, I still
and a husband
really enjoy.
Ooh, you on a Miami Saturday? It's you're a different guy.
Our focus is laser.
It is.
It's very laser-like locked in. I ain't got time for Miami's nonsense, Tom.
Superman chopping down a light pole with the lasers.
We are locked in on that day, baby. Locked in. But anyhow, but you hate to. It's funny when you go to. I will say this: when you go to other people's great rivalry games. So if you attend an Alabama-Auburn game, which I haven't. But if you go to a game like that, I find, anyhow, in instances where I've been able to do that, that it's kind of, you can see the silliness because you're neutral and you don't care. And you're going, look at these buffoons. I mean, this is ridiculous. That guy's going to punch that other dude. The game hadn't even kicked off yet. He's really furious that he has the stones, the temerity to wear that shirt. You can see it for what it is when you're not involved in it.
When you went to Florida, Georgia, what gear did you wear? Any?
No, I wore a white shirt with jeans.
Okay. So you went totally neutral.
Yeah.
You didn't take Georgia gear or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No. I didn't.
You wear like a Georgia Tech ball cap with a Florida State polo shirt?
No.
And just said, bring it?
No. I think I wore just a nice white shirt, like a golf shirt or something.
So they probably care more about an Auburn ball cap, Georgia. Auburn and Georgia don't get along, if I have that right.
I don't know if they don't get along or not, but Florida Georgia's ugly. That's and I would think, and I know Georgia Tennessee's a good rivalry, and so I don't know. To me, what's the rivalry game you most want to see? Not named.
Oh, not named ours?
Yeah, nothing to do with ours. What's the rivalry game you would be most invested in?
I mean, I've been intrigued by Georgia and Florida, but Florida Tennessee is up there, especially now that Tennessee's actually won a ball game.
I've been to a game at Neyland. That's a lot of fun.
I just want to go to a game up there. I mean,
it
looks, and maybe it's finally getting back to a place where it is an intimidating place to play.
You got to do the volunteer Navy and that whole thing. Like it's a
man.
But do you find
I don't want to say Ohio State, Michigan because it's so overplayed, but it would be cool to see it. Maybe USC, UCLA, just because it's a completely different culture over there. West Coast culture.
Michigan, Notre Dame, or Notre Dame, USC at Notre Dame?
South Bend?
Yeah, in South Bend, yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Well, it's really easy, and it's kind of a cop-out answer, but it's Army-Navy. Duh.
Well,
That's
you and
the
I
game
have
I wanna
wanted,
see.
yeah, and there won't be any shenanigans there in terms of the kind of ugliness. I mean, I've wanted to see. That's more than a football game. Always has been. You know, both of our dads were in the Army. Both of our dads served.
Got off the schneid.
Yeah, finally. Good Lord. But that's a game that, well, you know, I brought it up on the air, and I will use this to my advantage. This is one of those times where I'll be an elitist jerk. But being in the press and having a show on Sirius XM came to my benefit this offseason, this past year. We interviewed Army's golf coach, and in the course of that, learned what it was like for them to have to go through what they go through on a daily basis with the responsibilities they have just as a student, but then to be a college D1 athlete too. You talk about admirable and focused and mature in a way that I never was. Anyhow, that coach, he had come over, I believe, from Oregon State. And so he hadn't always been Army, and he got there, and now he talks about it's a great honor, and he sees this and the sacrifice, and he's been immersed in the culture. But we were talking. He said, I asked him the Army-Navy football question. In the midst of all of our golf talk, I said, okay, listen, hold on. What's it like to go to an Army-Navy football game? And he lit up. He goes, I am so glad you asked. You know what? It's the greatest thing you'll ever do in terms of seeing a sporting event. And he said, when I first got here, it's all I cared about. I couldn't wait to see that game. And it sounds like he's just like us, you know, just wanted to be a part of that. And he invited me to go down onto the field for the Army-Navy game this year. And I don't know if he knows that he's going to get that phone call out of the blue from the guy that he offhandedly, maybe even half-jokingly said he would take onto the field for the Army-Navy game for the purposes of interview on radio. But I'm going to call him.
Sure, and his producer. You know, but I will say the cool thing last year was, I was out in Austin that particular weekend, and there was an official Army watch party in a section of Austin, and these are all former cadets. And
it's good stuff.
Either, you know, enlisted or officers or anything in between. And you talk about an atmosphere for a football game. That's the closest I've ever gotten to the stadium to actually watch one of these bad boys for 60 minutes. But you talk about raucous. Oh, the hair on my neck is standing up at how incredible that was. And that's a game that's just completely off the wall. If you're asking for a traditional FBS, I don't know, USC, UCLA is up there, and probably Ohio State, Michigan, just because there's always 100,000 people in the stands, and it's Big Ten country, and it's going to be chilly as hell in November.
Yeah, cold weather.
Yeah.
I've always thought that too. I want to go to cold weather rivalries. I think going to, Wisconsin, Ohio State would be a lot of fun on a cold night in Madison. Those fans do it up right. Madison's a wonderful place. And, I would thoroughly enjoy that too. Yeah, well, this is what you do in the second half of your life. If you're able to save a little bit of money, you get on a plane and you start going to these rivalry games while Florida State's on the road against a Wake Forest or it's a bye week. That's what you do.
I think if Oregon and Oregon State, if you could promise me that they were on the same level talent-wise, that would be an incredible
great game.
I mean, it's hardly ever really the case.
I went to Nebraska, Colorado when it was a so-called rivalry, even though Nebraska, of course, beat Colorado like a drum every year. But I went to that game in Lincoln, and it's all back then it was always around Thanksgiving, and that was immense fun. A lot of fun to do, to just see that, and it was relatively tame. Colorado was always a little edgy, and Nebraska would take the tact of, you guys got to win one of these every now and again for it to be a rivalry. We've beaten you 17 out of 18 times.
It was one of those, well, you guys really have had a good year. Welcome. If you'd like a beer.
Quite the season you all are having.
It really caught our eye. Sometimes when you guys come here, we're just not that interested. But we're interested this year. So you've earned it. There is some beer in the cooler. You are welcome to help yourself now.
What I want to see happen for Florida State when I'm old is for our fan base and for the alumni and those that come to games year in and year out to get to a place that I've seen in some of the venues that I've been to that have been playing football for 100 years And it's certainly something they're able to achieve because of that fact. But Florida State has not. And so there are things that are missing here. And the kind of, I don't know, I don't want it to be too stuffy. I mean, it is a football game. I like it to be loose and people to be playing their music and having a good time. But the civility that I see at some of the other venues where they've been really good and they've been really bad and everything in between, and they've done it 10 times over. Their dad's dad went to that university, and when they were a kid, they knew their great-grandfather. The first game they ever went to was with him, and on down the line, right? We haven't had that many generations to come through Florida State while Florida State became a prominent football program. So the ebbs and flows have been relatively recent, and you can sense it when you're at Michigan or you were just at Texas. I've not been to a game at Texas, but I've obviously been to games at Oklahoma. And, you know, if you're at these other venues where they've played football forever and have had these successes, it's a different atmosphere.
Yeah, you know, Notre Dame doesn't pose any threat to Texas. They don't really. I mean, maybe
Right.
years and years ago they
I've been
had some
to a
run-ins.
game at Notre Dame. That's a great atmosphere too.
Sure, they do a great job by all accounts.
Mm-hmm.
The fans are gracious. But yeah, that was a peaceful setting. You wouldn't know that there was
Oklahoma was great. Nebraska was great.
Sure, and the way you walked out of that stadium that night, you know, I say it all the time. We thought that perhaps these are two top 15 teams that have perhaps arrived because the game was so compelling, and preseason hype being what it is.
Turns out neither was true.
But you wouldn't have known that game was about to take place. Yes, of course, there are tents and cars and roads are closed. But from an intensity standpoint, everybody was just having a really good time. It was like a festival, and then there just happened to be a football game on the same day of this, you know, outdoor festival.
That's the beauty of perspective and to be able to sit in there and hang out and just offer some. You know, I will tell you, the College World Series, it is college baseball time, and we're in the midst of talking about the Noles win yesterday and then their big game tomorrow against Louisville. If you get a chance to go to Omaha, now Rosenblatt has changed, different stadium now, but that atmosphere is as civil and welcoming as you will ever find, partly because it's college baseball. I mean, how angry is anybody going to get there? But you'll find that LSU fans are great, and there are certain fan bases who've had a lot of success over the years, and they kind of camp out there for the week, and they have their barbecues, and anybody that comes by, they welcome in. That's really cool.
LSU, Alabama. I know LSU's kind of been going, you know, this route lately. They've been tapering off.
Baton Rouge at night.
Come on now.
Forget about it.
I think that might be number one on the list.
I would think it is for I've never seen LSU, Alabama play. That stadium, I've been to the stadium at LSU, is raucous, insane, and filled with wonderfully loose fans on game nights. It's out of control. LSU, Florida, LSU, Alabama. Yes.
Well, LSU, Florida now, especially.
Yes.
They were already cross-division rivals, but that's been heightened to a whole new level now.
Don't like
hasn't it?
each other much.
No.
Yes, you can certainly say that, hey, listen, my man, taking an LSU game at night, that's a different experience. And I'm sure Tom Block of the front row has made mention of that on numerous occasions, as his wife is an LSU grad, I believe. And they've had some fun up there, too. Yes, Cajuns are nuts.
Need Matt Millar to translate.
It's that's been so many years since I've told the story where I had that job for 3 weeks answering the phones for people calling to inquire about HMOs, a job that would see you put a gun in your mouth if you had it for too long. But we had different lines that you had to answer, and it would be one for Spanish, one for English, and then they had a line for Cajun.
Like Creole?
Like Creole. And
hit the home party.
And it's the craziest thing you've ever heard. And I used to pray that Creole line would ring. I'm like, come on, let the Creole line ring. I want to hear this. And it finally happened. And it was incredible. I'm like, what the hell? Transfer. And we had a guy that could do it. Just sitting over there. You're like, oh, all right. How was that ever a language? I don't know what you're doing there.
Why, yes, sir, you do qualify for this HMO.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Banditos Burritos, baby.
Hey, Wally Woodham here. In 1974, I set the national high school passing record at Leon High with 3,560 yards.
Jimmy Jordan here. Wally, I broke your passing record at Leon the very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks. Ace is your neighborhood place for everything Yeti, from coolers to drinkware. And right now, for the first time ever, Yeti is on sale. During the Ace Memorial Day sale, save 25% on Yeti Rambler stainless steel drinkware. It's virtually indestructible and keeps drinks hot or cold for longer. So hurry into your local Ace and save 25% on Yeti stainless steel drinkware. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members only through June 4th. Excludes Duracoat colors and jugs. See participating stores for details.
Give summer more flavor with Eckrich smoked sausage. Rich flavor that comes from carefully crafting everything. Like smoking our hardwood smoked sausage in real smoke. Whether you're hosting a backyard cookout, celebrating on a warm summer night, or just gathering around the dinner table, Eckrich simply gives life more flavor. Enjoy the great taste of Eckrich. Available at your local Winn-Dixie.
Staples knows that when your spreadsheets no longer spread, it's time. When your presentations are not presentable, it's time. And when tensions in the office are high,
No, tensions are very, very high.
it's definitely time. And it's times like these when pros turn to Staples. Staples has a full range of tech services to help your business with everything from data recovery to virus protection. And right now, get $50 off PC diagnostic and repair service, so your business won't miss a beat. Staples, it's pro time. Ends 5/27. Service does not include parts.
There are paint projects, and then there are paint projects. Start yours at the Home Depot with Memorial Day paint savings of $10 off 1-gallon cans and $40 off 5-gallon buckets. That's not just more for the money. That's more for the living room and dining room, or maybe an extra bedroom or two. Unbelievable quality. Unbeatable prices. With Memorial Day paint savings of $10 to $40 off, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Val through May 29th.
Tee it up at the Edwin Watts Golf Memorial Day sale this Friday through Monday with huge savings throughout the store. Save up to 20% on apparel, footwear, golf bags, and carts. Pick up the Bushnell Neo Ghost for just $49.99. Buy 2 dozen Bridgestone B-Series golf balls and get the third dozen free. And score the Cobra F6 driver on sale for $199.99. Get these deals and more Friday through Monday during the Memorial Day sale at Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Open Memorial Day from 9 to 5.
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary. Get your history lesson weekdays at 5:30 during the Jeff Cameron Show, right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. You know, somehow, some way, in all of this talk, Tom, about college football and our focus on it, even though it is May the 25th, the 100-day marker came and went. We're less than 100 days from the start of college football.
Oh, no. Is that so?
98, buddy.
Oh, might as well be there kicking it off
What
this
are
weekend.
we doing, buddy? Last year we did at least honor the 100-day mark, right? And Saturday, August the 26th, is the first game, and it is Portland State against BYU. Sounds like a great game right about now.
I'd take it.
Hawaii at Massachusetts later. At 3 o'clock, Oregon State at Colorado State.
Okay, there's your headliner.
South Florida's at San Jose State that evening, and Stanford and Rice will kick it off at 10 p.m.
Trees versus owls. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I was like, well, what has happened here? How is that even possible? So you can do the little. Isn't that right? Did I get it right?
I saw a preseason magazine, too, came out this week. I don't know which one. It wasn't Phil Steele's or anything like that, but there was a cover for a preview magazine. So, yes, the season has begun.
I have yet to pick up the preparatory reading. These days, it could all be done online, but, of course, it's not as fun. I like to have them, hold them, something tangible, while you kind of just – by the way, Phil Steele is too much. It's just too much. I like it.
Cumbersome?
We'll have Phil on. Just there's too much. Because what happens is I'm a sucker. I'll end up reading about Rice. I don't need to read about Rice. I'm like, oh, Rice has got 5 returning starters on the defensive side of the ball back this year, hon. Oh, it's Rice. Don't do that.
Well, maybe you want to read up on them to take advantage of the sporting guys or gals early on in the season.
I think that's exactly what's going on. I think down deep it's true. In my mind, I'm just thinking, well, you might need to know this because you do like to wager. So there is that. Florida State baseball tomorrow. Reminder there. It is at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, right?
3 o'clock,
right when we would have come on.
Mm-hmm, that's correct.
Yeah, had we been doing a show, it would have been on right then and there. Instead, we'll be watching that game, enjoying that contest. And I told you earlier, and I'll tell you again throughout the show, I've got a good feel. Just going to keep on keeping on with that one, sticking with it, buddy. 8 o'clock kickoff. Florida State Miami was also announced today.
You know, it is really true. In the first 3 weeks of the college football season, I'll say, man, Thursday night, oh, geez, it's Utah State.
Oh, buddy.
They're playing,
what a matchup.
San Diego State. You go, whoa, no. You want to jump on San Diego State tonight, buddy, because they've returned 9 of their 11 offensive starters, including their quarterback, who's going to go in the 3rd or 4th round this year. I mean, he's actually one of those guys that NFL teams think they can cultivate moving forward. So Utah State has lost 7 of their 11 starters on defense. This was Utah State in a pick as a 1-point favorite or a pick 'em. No, jump all over San Diego State, buddy. And I go, well, where did you get that from?
Mm-hmm.
And now Phil Steele.
Well, and I'm reading all that stuff. And also, I'm really close friends with other degenerates. By that point, we've all spoken to one another on the early season opportunities that lay in wait. You've got to ambush Vegas. And the best way to do that is the first 2 weeks of the season where, admittedly, at least with college football, they struggle. College football, they get, once they make the adjustments by about week 3, week 4, it's time to ride. You gotta find some other camp. But week 2, you're still taking them. Week 3, you still got them. They're usually slow on a team or two where you're going, man, they don't see it. They still don't see it. This team's actually good. They got this wrong.
Well, remember the stark examples of 2013 Florida State and 2014 Florida State. You know,
They couldn't see what we were beginning to see, which is that the 2014 team just wasn't going to show up defensively. They just weren't. And so we weren't going to cover. The 2013 team was going to humiliate you. You were going to be emasculated, and there wasn't a number big enough. And we knew that early, too. And I'm like, man, they're missing the boat here. That we're only given 15 this weekend. We're going to win this game by 46. I mean, it was.
And 2014 Clemson was a big player. That was a team that I was on. It was one of the better years I've had thanks to riding the Clemson train, because I can recall, what NC State did to us, and Jameis had to bring us back in that game, stop, the presses if you heard that in 2014.
Also remember, for whatever reason,
Jacoby Brissett
was playing like Jesus.
Yeah, it was the Matrix.
Ridiculous, falling sideways, throwing sidearm balls across his body for touchdowns. It was absurd.
So they looked at the NC State Clemson game in Clemson the next week and set that at 7-10 points, something along those lines, and it was just a slam dunk cover. But sometimes you have that type of clairvoyance, but you're right. By and large, weeks 1 and 2 is when you make your money. So this is why you read these preseason magazines.
It's why you not only read those preseason magazines, you get really excited. It was on this day, by the way, that earlier in the show, we had the opportunity to celebrate the fact that Florida State, prime time, 2 of their first 3 games, 8 o'clock against Alabama. That was to be a given, but 8 o'clock against Miami in prime time was also announced today. So 2 out of the first 3 games sees Florida State in the limelight. One against a rival, the other against a perennial power. Also, games featuring Clemson, Florida State, Alabama, and the best of the Big Ten Conference highlight ESPN's televised football schedule for Week 1, which was released for the upcoming season, providing an early look at those teams expected to make a charge, of course, for the college football playoff. Saturday, September the 2nd, will feature Alabama and Florida State, of course, in Atlanta. 2 nights earlier on Thursday, August the 31st, you'll get Ohio State at Indiana. That was announced by ESPN today. That will be an 8 o'clock start time. The schedule for Week 1 on August the 31st and continues through Labor Day gives you West Virginia and Virginia Tech meeting in Landover, Maryland on Sunday, September the 3rd, and Tennessee and Georgia Tech facing off in Atlanta on September the 4th, where Georgia Tech has an opportunity to continue their winning streak against the SEC. I think it would go to 3 straight over SEC teams if they win that game, or 4.
And that game, it would also take place in Mercedes-Benz. Even though Georgia Tech is in Atlanta, that's not a home game per se. That is part of the kickoff weekend, where that kickoff series is going to host 2 games. We're the headliner, and then they're the Monday night game.
We are always the headliner, sir. ESPN will wear I don't know what they'll wear. They'll air games involving Wisconsin, Penn State, and Michigan, with the Wolverines non-conference pairing, obviously, as we all know, with Florida. That is the 3:30 precursor to the real good football that takes place that night between Florida State and Alabama. These schleps who want to be as good as Florida State and Alabama kind of lead us into the big game that night with a 3:30 kickoff. That'll be fun. We can watch them toil and their offensive struggles, and then we'll move on to big boy football. All 4 Big Ten teams are expected to be in contention, according to the AP today, for a New Year's Six Bowl.
Well, if
that's what you want to broaden it out. All right, Ohio State will be televised in prime time in Week 2. The program's rematch with Oklahoma, a game the Buckeyes won going away in the downtrodden Big 12, which is just holding on to their status as a Power 5 at this point. That will air at 7:30 on ABC Saturday, September the 9th. The game marks the Sooners' first trip to Columbus, Ohio in 40 years. Cool game, just as it was cool last year to see those 2 uniforms on the field at the same time. The full schedule for Week 1 of the upcoming season and primetime games set for Week 2 and 3 was what was released today. You mentioned the game Friday, September the 1st, Utah State and Wisconsin, and how normally you'd be like, I'm excited about that game.
Why not?
That's a good game, buddy.
Let's play that game. Let's watch that game.
We shall. NC State, South Carolina, and Charlotte, sneaky good. 3 o'clock on a Saturday, September the 2nd, buddy. Even Appalachian State at Georgia. Okay, all right. What do we got there? A little 6:15 action is what we got there.
That's the one where you check the halftime score and see if you need to watch the second half.
Like last year's game against Tennessee when they should have won.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
You also have, as we said, Sunday games. Virginia Tech and West Virginia. Georgia Tech and Tennessee are Monday. And then finally, this is...
Care to hazard a guess as to what the initial line is going to be for Alabama, Florida State? The betting line?
5.
Okay. And how would you feel about that 5? What side of the ledger would you fall on with that 5 as you sit here today on May the 25th?
Well, I sure would like to envision a time in which it became commonplace that the ACC's best defeats Alabama on a regular basis, and we'd be moving into that category with a Florida State win over Alabama because, of course, Alabama's coming off a loss to an ACC team in Clemson. But wanting that to be the case and that being the case are two separate things. I don't know where I stand on that just yet. Right now, I think because of our defense, I would take Florida State +5, but I'm not sure. I need to see camp open up, get a vibe, get a feel.
Well, it's about a vibe because you can't see anything.
Right, there's nothing right now. I need to know, are we rolling Eberle out there again, or are we doing something different at center? Are we, those kinds of things.
The annual center question, huh?
Well, it's come to mind in late May. Because there's a chance that there's a real upgrade at that position.
A healthy Eberle?
No.
Oh.
A more talented Bavion. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Hell, you son of a...
No, that's Jaws 2.
No, that's Jaws 1, man.
No, he shoots the thing, and it's Jaws 2, isn't it?
No, Jaws 2, he hits him with the electrical wire.
Oh, you're right. The electrical thing, he's holding it up, right? He's on the little raft.
He's on the raft.
You're right.
Zzz, and then that's it for Brody. He dies after that.
He doesn't die.
In Jaws 3, he's dead. He
he had a heart attack or something.
Yeah,
we don't see it on screen.
They don't show it on screen, but yeah, the Jaws killed him.
That's okay. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities reminds you that it'll be summertime before you know it, and summer's when we all benefit from positive environmental practices like saving energy, water, and money. Because after all, it's all connected. When your home is energy efficient, you save money on your utility bill, but you also help the environment because using less energy saves precious natural resources. Here are a few simple tips. Easy things you can do to use less energy. In the summertime, set your AC thermostat to 78 degrees and even a little higher when you're away from home. You'll be amazed at the money you'll save. Close shades, drapes, and blinds during the day. It keeps the house a lot cooler. Choose the proper AC fan setting. Put it on auto, not on. Auto saves energy. On runs continuously, and that runs into money. And while you're at it, schedule a free energy audit with the City of Tallahassee Utilities to identify low-cost and no-cost ways to make your home more energy efficient. You'll save energy, water, and money, and you'll help the environment too, because after all, it's all connected. A message from the #1 public utility in America. Learn more at talgov.com/YOU.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry
Hey, I'm Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. Some roofers are like a bad boyfriend. They make lots of promises, but in reality, they're just cheap. They don't own up to their mistakes, and they leave you with a lot of regret. Parker Brothers Roofing stands behind every installation, and if a mistake is made, we own it and fix it. Our customers never have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
When it comes to live gaming excitement, Creek Entertainment Gretna is your hometown headquarters. With live poker and simulcast race betting, you've got more winning opportunities right here close to home. Plus, we now offer 3-card poker and Pai Gow in our card room. Satisfy big appetites at Stables, featuring hot and cold sandwiches, salads, and weekend specials. There's always something exciting going on at Creek Entertainment Gretna. I-10 exit 174, Gretna, Florida.
Hey, Wally Woodham here. In 1974, I set the national high school passing record at Leon High with 3,560 yards.
Jimmy Jordan here. Wally, I broke your passing record at Leon the very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world.
Roger that. Get charged up for what's coming next anytime, anywhere with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
Refreshment Services Pepsi announces that Kiana Redding has been chosen Employee of the Month. An accounts receivable specialist, Kiana's determination, dedication to her work, and outstanding performance reflect the true spirit of Pepsi. Congratulations, Kiana.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
And Dirk Cutter needs to toughen up. Buccaneers head coach says he's not happy with the Bucs social media team, which, quote, trolled the Atlanta Falcons on Monday for losing to the New England Patriots. That's not why they did it. Quote, I want to make sure on behalf of the Bucs organization that I apologize to the Falcons for whatever that was supposed to be that went out on social media, Cutter said. That's not what our organization is about. It started with the Bucs promoting the online sale of team fidget spinners. The Falcons responded with, "Are you nervous about something?" That's when things escalated quickly. The Bucs fired back with, "We ain't worried about nothing," along with a photo of Vernon Hargraves, number 28, and Jameis Winston, number 3, bumping fists in the locker room. That is a brilliant response, and the Falcons began the interaction to begin with. To hell with apologizing for that.
To hell with you, Dirk Cutter. What are you, a Falcon lover?
Falcons, of course, blowing a 28-3 lead to the Patriots in the largest collapse in Super Bowl history. Quote, that was totally unprofessional and not smart on our part. Whoever was responsible for that. Heck, we wanted to be playing in the Super Bowl, and we were home sitting on our butts while they were playing. We've got no room to make fun of anybody that was in the Super Bowl, whether they won or not. Oh, this guy. I'm sure he's a lot of fun at parties.
This is an indicator of something I didn't think Dirk was. You know, that micromanager type that because he's the head
I
of
was about to say something completely different, but yes.
yeah, that's the head of the football operations, but he wants to dip his fingers in, all the waters. I hate the stick to thing, like stick to sports, stick to the coach, and you let social media do them because that's funny and that gets people riled up.
It was funny, and it did work, and I bet even Falcons fans saw the humor in that, and it's not malicious, and it's not jaded, and it's not filled with cynicism. It's funny. It's what social media can be, especially for those who can take a joke. It is ridiculous to bother to be upset by that and deem it to be unprofessional and to step in and address it publicly and draw more attention to something that really, by and large, was chuckled at by all parties involved. It's also part of a larger problem that I'm beginning to have with Dirk. This is part of what you just described is an element of my concern with him. I don't need him worried about such frivolous manners, by the way.
Imagine that coming across his desk, or he sees it because he's checking the Buccaneers Twitter feed for whatever reason.
I doubt he's checking the Buccaneers Twitter feed.
I mean, how was he made aware?
I'm sure it came to his attention because somebody probably thought it was funny within the organization, and then he didn't see the humor in it.
Imagine him getting red-faced and walking down to the office of the social media director. Sorry, the cubicle of the social media director of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and yelling at them, saying that this is not what we're about. I mean, imagine that.
Well, that's not a fun job to begin with, because then you have to spend all of your time on social media, which is enough to make you go crazy, and part of a larger problem, but that's a soapbox moment for me, and I'll move forward. I'll say, too, that, at that point, your job has just doubled down on the level of suck, because you can't be free in the moment to respond to anything for fear of reprisal from the head coach publicly, or that you'd lose your job. But this, I think there's a stuffiness there that and a concern about things that A, really he ought not worry about, but B, again, is this indicative of your mentality? Are you nervous about things in general? He had some moments a year ago where we looked at him, 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to him, with late game play calling, in which later on he admitted he got too conservative. This would be representative of something like that, a conservative nature, a very concerned, worried all the time sort of. I don't need that, man.
Well, and he's also admitted flippantly in answering a larger question to the media that, I read what you wrote this morning. Why? Don't ever admit that. That's not something even if you do, what does it matter? I'd rather have the guy that says, I don't read anything and lies about it than the guy who admits, I read what you wrote this morning. Why? Man.
Well, yeah, you're already admitting that you're perturbed.
You go 10-6 or do you go 5-11? That's what's going to keep your job, not a straw poll about, what people think of what a columnist wrote about you, especially in the NFL.
Well, especially in the NFL, it's true. And I think Jimbo's done a better job in his last few years of handling that kind of thing. I always got a sense early on that he was way too concerned what writers nationally and locally, talk show hosts and others thought about his play calling or his overall demeanor or practice or any of that stuff. I
got a sense, did you?
Got a sense. I got a sense, Tom. And it's really one of the times, too, where you feel like going, with all due respect, and I'm flattered, but why are you concerned with what some dude saying locally in Tallahassee on a talk show or what somebody writes in the Democrat or what? I mean, you can't – I'm not trying to disparage the show or any writer but as a head coach, I'm looking at it from their perspective. You can't be bothered with what a columnist or a sports talk show host thinks. Maybe if you get them in private and it's you and them talking and you can say, listen, I thought you were unfair here, or why did you write this, or why did you say that, Jeff? That's not true. Here's what really happened. You can address it one-on-one, but you don't need to reveal, A, it bothers you, and B, that you're the kind who's micromanaging to that degree where you want to know how people feel in the press and what the local community. Man, you're in charge of a huge business. You got a lot bigger things to worry about than everybody's outside view of how you're running said business.
and it's not enough that you pulled somebody aside behind the scenes and had them, remove the tweet or whatever. You had to go to the media.
Right, he had to go to the media here. There's no reason for it. And it's because he really does think, and we're talking about Dirk Cutter now, it's because he really does think that it was a classless move, and he really does concern himself with, I guess, bulletin board material of the Falcons. Get the hell out of here. We split with the Falcons last year. We've had plenty of success against the Falcons. You've got a franchise quarterback and an emerging, roster at this point where you are set to contend with a team like the Falcons, like the Carolina Panthers. This is about winning your division and really not bothering with the feelings of others within it.
Clearly, he loved his time in Atlanta or loves Rich McKay or
sure.
Arthur
There's a lot of
Blank.
connections between the two franchises, so maybe that had something to do with it too. Good point.
But seeing as, they're a principal rival within the division and they're
Screw
the team
'em.
you're exactly
Screw
right.
'em. And I'll tell you something, that's one area where it didn't work out for him, and because he could never shut his mouth and he made himself look like a fool all the time. But, all of these coaches that have come into the AFC East and had to deal with Bill Belichick, well, time and again, you hear this almost sheepish approach where they kind of, obviously we respect everything that they've done, and they're this the model franchise that we want to be. And your boy with the Jets, I'm suddenly forgetting
Rex Ryan.
Yeah, Rex Ryan. I couldn't remember which Ryan. Foot fetish Ryan, Jeff. Foot fetish Ryan.
That's correct. Yes.
Rex Ryan took a different approach, which was, look, yeah, obviously they're what we're all trying to be. That's self-evident. We got it. I'm not going to deny their successes. We're also not going to back down or be afraid, and I'm not worried about ruffling his feathers. We're going to try to beat his ass. And that's the approach you should embrace. Now, within reason.
There are a few things that absolutely as a head coach you may want to take issue with your own organization, be it a college football program or an NFL franchise, and their social media. One, behind-the-scenes content that lets something slip, whether it be a 4-letter word or a tactic or something you're installing. Yes, absolutely. That's when you should go deal with whoever's running it. Number two, something that's inflammatory or insensitive about either your team, a player, or somebody else. Like, I'm talking about ignorant, inflammatory, something along those lines. And then number three, if they write something that's far too critical, because, there's supposed to be a public relations wing of your organization. So it could be, hey, listen, let the Times write something that rips play calling, but this is the Buccaneers.com website.
Yeah, no place
This is
for it.
not your mandate.
Yeah.
But if you're getting into a Twitter war with another franchise and you guys are trading GIFs and stills.
And they were funny. I think both of them were funny. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the Falcons saying what they said about the Bucs handing out fidget spinners, which are ridiculous, and the Bucs' response, they're both great.
Do the boys have those?
No, God, no. They never will. No.
So
they can handle their feelings while they wait patiently for things, as opposed to just playing with a fidget spinner incessantly.
Well, I mean, it's not the message about what the spinner's about. It's just kind of a status symbol and a currency in a classroom for kids that age.
It's a distraction in the classroom, and all teachers hate fidget spinners and are railing against them rightfully because kids can't sit still. They have to be doing something, and you're furthering that behavior. It's very different.
Now who's boring?
No, it's not boring. That's a problem. You have kids and see what I'm talking about. It's
we had Pogs. My age group, you had Pogs. They were basically little discs and coins. And that was
I've never heard of a Pog. I don't know, but
Oh yeah, people my age, they know about Pogs. That was the fidget spinner of our time.
Did you were allowed to use them in class?
Oh no, but we didn't.
But they do. That's the problem. That's what I'm saying. Well, it's not. That's a different thing. That if you had been using those in class, you wouldn't have been allowed. They would have taken them from you. They've become a problem in the schools.
You had these things called slammers that would. I mean, that might have happened once or twice. I didn't do it, but. No, I mean, it was mostly about trading Pogs. They were like trading cards, except they were little discs.
I'm not a grumpy old man about trading cards. And if kids bring things like, by the way, they do that with trading cards now. What was the most recent thing that adults got in trouble with for a while? They're not in trouble in the sense that they were in trouble from their work, but like walking into traffic trying to find them.
Oh, Pokemon Go?
Yeah, there's the Pokemon cards that I guess kids have. That they'll trade figures, just like baseball card trades. I got no problem with that.
It's Pokemon. I call it Pokemon just to piss off the people who are Pokemon people.
They do that, and that still exists. And no, I'm not a grumpy old man about that. But you can't have kids in class like strolling around with a fidget spinner while you're trying to teach, and that's what's happened. That's why they're problematic, and people get angry. But they're also all the rage. It's crazy. They're everywhere. I don't even know. I saw one. I finally saw one because I was like, what do they do?
I had a metallic Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Pog, and that was, for about
this was definitely, I've never even heard of a Pog. Usually I've at least heard of these things. I had no idea. We're only 15 years apart. I would have thought, well, it would have been right in that downtime where I had no idea what kids were doing.
You're 23 and I'm 8.
Yeah,
so there you
so
go.
I would never have an idea. It's a good thing I don't know what the hell a Pog is.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sports and Costco.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks. Ace is your neighborhood place for everything Yeti, from coolers to drinkware. And right now, for the first time ever, Yeti is on sale. During the Ace Memorial Day sale, save 25% on Yeti Rambler stainless steel drinkware. It's virtually indestructible and keeps drinks hot or cold for longer. So hurry into your local Ace and save 25% on Yeti stainless steel drinkware. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members only through June 4th. Excludes Duracoat colors and jugs. See participating stores for details.
Give summer more flavor with Eckrich smoked sausage. Rich flavor that comes from carefully crafting everything. Like smoking our hardwood smoked sausage in real smoke. Whether you're hosting a backyard cookout, celebrating on a warm summer night, or just gathering around the dinner table, Eckrich simply gives life more flavor. Enjoy the great taste of Eckrich. Available at your local Winn-Dixie.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities reminds you that it'll be summertime before you know it, and summer's when we all benefit from positive environmental practices like saving energy, water, and money. Because after all, it's all connected. When your home is energy efficient, you save money on your utility bill, but you also help the environment because using less energy saves precious natural resources. Here are a few simple tips. Easy things you can do to use less energy. In the summertime, set your AC thermostat to 78 degrees and even a little higher when you're away from home. You'll be amazed at the money you'll save. Close shades, drapes, and blinds during the day. It keeps the house a lot cooler. Choose the proper AC fan setting. Put it on auto, not on. Auto saves energy, on runs continuously, and that runs into money. And while you're at it, schedule a free energy audit with the City of Tallahassee Utilities to identify low-cost and no-cost ways to make your home more energy efficient. You'll save energy, water, and money, and you'll help the environment too, because after all, it's all connected. A message from the #1 public utility in America. Learn more at talgov.com/YOU.
We lead busy lives. That's why Superlube offers quick and convenient service with no appointment necessary at any of our 19 area locations. And remember, Superlube offers a free top-off service between oil changes, checking and topping off fluids, and tire pressure. But did you know that right now when you buy one wiper blade, you get one free, just in time for Tallahassee's rainy season? Superlube it every 3 months or 3,000 miles.
How I love to Superlube my car, yes sir.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
This is Adrian Lawrence. Kyrie Irving's left ankle is feeling good, so says Tyronn Lue. The Cavs will likely need Irving if they plan to close out the Eastern Conference Finals tonight against Boston. He's been averaging just over 26 points a game in the series. You won't want to miss a moment of Game 5. Coverage starting at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Potential top pick Lonzo Ball says he will not work out for the Celtics, who happen to hold the #1 draft pick. Team president Danny Ainge told Boston's 98.5 The Sports Hub that it's not an ideal situation since he wants to evaluate all top talent. But Ainge also noted that the Celtics have drafted players who wouldn't work out for them before. To the NFL, coming off his best season, Gerald Hodges is signing a one-year deal with the Bills, per ESPN's Adam Schefter. A linebacker finished with 83 tackles, 3 sacks, and 2 interceptions in his 4th year in the league. In the NFC East, still no Odell Beckham Jr. at day 3 of OTAs. The Giants star receiver previously said that he was going to join the team today for voluntary workouts, but he's still MIA.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least 4 today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but if you do, remember we got you. Got you covered, that is. All 3 hours get posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's a good thing because you can find it at your leisure. Go back, catch up. And it's all brought to you with limited commercial interruption thanks to our great sponsor, the fine folks at Southland Commercial and SVN. Go to carltondean.com to learn more about income-producing properties. You can email the show if you want. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. WTSM app for your mobile devices. That's a good thing. And that can be fun on both Android and iPhone. Can also watch us on YouTube. Thanks, everybody who's doing that. ESPN Tallahassee, that's a good thing. And I should note right here at the top of the hour, game times, some game times, official game times listed for Florida State football. 8 o'clock, ABC against Alabama. No surprise there, but confirmed today also, 9:16. That'd be the third game of the year, Florida State, Miami, 8 p.m., primetime, ABC here.
A bit of a deviation, though, for the Atlanta kickoff game. Typically, that was the afternoon kick, the mid-afternoon kick to be specific.
Yes.
Whereas the Jerry's World game out in Arlington, Texas, like the one we played against Oklahoma State, is the primetime affair. But that's not to be this time because, obviously, they're doing the right thing. Alabama, Florida State is the biggest ticket in town.
Michigan and Florida will be the warm-up game.
That's right. They're the...
You know,
I saw Muse this weekend. They're the 30 Seconds to Mars. You know, go out and get the crowd warmed up for us, will you?
I was cracking up. There's a California festival, Tom. I can't remember the name of it. It's one of these outdoor festivals in which obviously lots of bands play, and one of them was the Naked and Famous.
Really?
The headliners like Eddie Vedder, and then the next big band is another well-known person. And obviously the smaller, the bigger the bands are at the top, I think Radiohead. And as we go down the list, and it said with special guests, and they have like 10 bands, and the first one was the Naked and Famous. And I was like, well, the Naked and Famous are going.
Well, all right, they're the first of the special guests. They're climbing up the ladder.
They're
and
moving.
I'm sure as the font got closer to about 6-point font, that Waves
was right there with them. Like,
there.
Let's go. Let's be part of the festival. I think it's in Monterey, so it's a good festival to be part of. At least if you're just hanging out, enjoying yourself.
Florida, Michigan would be that smaller font.
Yeah.
And we'd be the size 36 or 72,
right
depending upon the flyer.
Yeah. Absolutely. It'd be huge. It'd be a big day. So that's fun to see. I will admit, now that we're kind of joking around about it, I don't know really who I'm going to pick in the Florida Michigan game. I think Florida. I actually think it. Well, listen, that Michigan team lost everybody, like every single player outside of that speedy little running back that they should have been giving the ball to more often when they faced us. Yeah, he's real good. But there was I remember seeing that roster, and when we did the pregame show, we were stunned. I've never, and this is true, this is not hyperbole, I had never seen a roster littered with so many senior starters as Michigan's before they faced us. I mean, it was 20 of 22 of the, offense and defense. It was crazy.
I understand your logic, but you have to score points to win games in college football, and I just don't know where UF's going to score points or how.
But I also don't really know how Michigan's going to score. That could be a really bad game.
Well, remember, the uglier it gets, the better Harbaugh is. He's going to bring out 7 offensive linemen and say, what you got, Florida? You still got those Will Muschamp recruits up front? Because I'm betting you don't.
I guess. We'll see, man. I don't think either one of those teams are going to be very good. That's what I think. I think that's going to be sort of this is not very good.
It was one of those, when we sign it, there's an 80% chance this is going to be a great game. This may come out on the other 20% side of it.
Well, it could be a great game. It could be a really physical game. It could be a lot of fun. I will say I think we're in store for that, right? Everywhere but the Big 12 where they don't bother to play defense. The rest looks like it's gearing up towards a more physical, defensive-minded year of college football where it was wide open a year ago. Certainly within our own conference, we know with the exodus of so many really talented quarterbacks that we expect to see lower-scoring games. And I think, quite frankly, we're in a nice position because you've got the best defensive player in the country, arguably, obviously manning that side of the fence for you. But I look forward to it. I look forward to some 17-14, 24-21, 20-17 type games. That's fine. It's a little bit of old school. I've seen enough 53-45. I don't need to see much more of that.
As long as it's because the defenses are swarming. If it's because quarterbacks are missing wide open dudes or something along those lines, that gets annoying because that's just not good football. But if the defenses are, engulfing offenses and they're not giving quarterbacks time and they're laying big hit after big hit, that, yes, in and of itself is fun, but it can't just be because offenses are bad because bad quarterbacks are in the league, because then you are the SEC and what the SEC has largely been the last few years.
I wonder, too, will we recognize it as that? What happens when teams don't move the football? We so seldom anymore because the game is geared up for offenses to play well, and it's officiated that way, too. We don't tend to give defenses too much credit. We usually go straight to the blaming of the offense, and because they have built-in advantages. But this year it's going to be a mixture of both. It'll be a little bit more difficult to discern because I think there are some really good defenses in the ACC this year, really good. And the potential for a few of the unknowns that could emerge as a very for example, I think Miami on the defensive side of the ball is starting to they're coming. And I'm interested to see how, and all jokes aside, I'm interested to see how they look this year. We were very impressed with their linebacker play last year. They've got some ability now. And obviously Florida State's going to play good defense. NC State's got a good defense this year. A number of teams are going to play good defense. And the other problem is, though, of course, it happens to coincide with the loss of a lot of quarterbacks.
Of course, we haven't done all of the in-the-weeds work with Alabama yet. We are talking about the game, but we're hitting June. We're going to have to hit it hard. But do you like Florida State's defense or Alabama's defense? If you were just talking about in a vacuum, between those two defenses.
I'm always going to say Alabama. They got more. They have players that have more talent. They have more talent than Florida State does. A depth of talent. Now, I'm not saying at every position, obviously. But when I look at Alabama's roster, man, and I've started to do that, it just pisses you off. I mean, I gave the numbers yesterday, I think it was, of how many times they've had the 5-star recruits say yes to Alabama. And it was like 96 of the last 300 top 100 recruits have said, it was a weird 5 stars.
It was like of the top 300 players in the last
ESPN's top,
3 cycles, but overall.
Overall, right.
Yeah.
And 96 of them went to Alabama. It's like they lose guys, and you go, okay, there's an opportunity here, but man, they're just plugging in other 5 stars.
The thing about us this year, you like our linebacker play better, and you'd never give us a better depth of talent than Alabama at that particular level. But you look at our defensive line and our secondary.
Oh, we're real good, man.
The balance of talent and experience.
Yeah. Oh, I think our defense might be one of the best in the country. I guess if you're asking, did you ask roster or did you ask just who I think is going to have the better year defensively?
Well, no, I'm not talking about 2 deep because they'd win the 2 deep competition every year, at least until maybe their 2018 class and, they trend the other direction. But, no, I'm talking about productivity on the field, like what you see, adjusted numbers by the end of the year, statistical rankings, dominance overall against opponents.
Well,
I think that you could make a case for us this year to actually be the better defense in Alabama.
You could make that case, and then you would say Pruitt is their defensive coordinator and Kelly is ours. And at that point, it would be a source of frustration for many a Florida State fan listening to this. The eyes just raised and the ire did as well. Now, that said, it was not meant to be a cheap shot. There is no getting around the fact that Coach Kelly did not have this defense ready to play last year. And whether you think he will this year or will not is somewhat irrelevant to what just happened in this sense. He did not have them ready to play last year. And we did not play good defense despite having an awful lot of talent last year against the likes of Ole Miss, obviously against Louisville. We were humiliated in a way that I never thought I'd see.
North Carolina,
which
is the damning one.
And they're just throwing pitch and catch out here. It's the same damn play over and over again to the same guy. And then, let's be honest, I know they won the national championship and really put up big numbers against a lot of people, but Clemson came in here and scored a lot of points and amassed a lot of yards. Now, you'll give them a pass because they had the best quarterback in the country and one of the best teams, if not, well, they did have the best team in the country.
Yeah, they did something similar to Alabama.
Right. So, okay. But when it's one of many games like that, you can't give them a pass. And so I don't know, as of right now, whether or not I can trust Coach Kelly to get the most out of his talent. From a talent standpoint, Florida State has the potential to be a great defense, maybe the best defense in the country. Maybe. Will he get them to that place? And I think it's fair to say that's the unanswered question. In fact, it's the biggest of the unanswered questions. There's probably no question looming larger as we go into this season than that one.
But do we have a true view of what Jeremy Pruitt is as a defensive coordinator? When he came here for the one season,
it was loaded.
That's 11 starters or whatever. Everybody got to an NFL roster
and he
from
did not
that
do the same thing at Georgia.
No.
I got you.
Not even freaking close.
Yeah.
So is he a mastermind or is he a manager of talent?
Well, I know this. He was originally tabbed as a coordinator, not a defensive coordinator, but in the secondary while with Nick Saban as the next great guy and was basically handpicked for Jimbo Fisher in the sense that Fisher was looking, Saban's a buddy, this guy's good, thinks very highly of him, we grab him, he does what he's supposed to do with the talent that he had. He goes on, he's picked up by Georgia, now he's back at Alabama. I think certainly the acumen for the game, the work ethic, and really almost sort of a nod of the cap from the game's best coach says to me that yes, he has the ability to be a great defensive coordinator.
The reason that this is an interesting question is remember the way we started in 2013 and how slow we started defensively to the point where after the Boston College game we're wondering, is this really the right fit? Imagine that Louisville was the third or fourth game of that particular season. Your counterpoint could be easily that, well, Tom, he had to install the defense from scratch because we were running four-man fronts and passive zone coverages under Stoops.
Well, you could play the clip, whole par ho.
Sure.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, it fundamentally you could argue he's a better teacher of the defense in that he had to install it from scratch with guys who didn't know the defense at all.
And that would be the biggest weakness we saw from Kelly because nobody has questioned whether or not he understands the game or has the acumen. Of course he does, and he wouldn't be on that staff if he didn't. Jimbo's not hiring buffoons. But all of these guys at the big-time programs have a very similar X's and O's knowledge of how to play defensive football. It is your ability to teach it, implement it, and get guys to execute it that really differentiates you between that great coordinator and the guy that's just merely average.
Well, and the nuance there, too, is that Coach Kelly at that point was a linebackers position coach under Jeremy Pruitt, and he moved to defensive backs because that's where Pruitt was coaching, and that was his focal point. Nick Saban disciple, and Nick Saban is defensive backs, and that's his specialty. And the defensive back play has been our biggest weakness. I mean, with Brad Loing coming in, matching with Odell Haggins, that defensive line has been something in the last couple of seasons.
Linebacker play hasn't been very good.
No. So it's,
Bill Miller has
Right.
Not exactly how they're
So
kicking ass.
Miller Kelly at linebacker and defensive backs has been, yes, much worse.
Problematic.
Than Kelly Pruitt linebackers and defensive backs.
Has you a little pissed off, does it? It has me bothered. I know that. And so we have to see something better this year, and we have to see it right off the bat. One caveat to this whole conversation, and it affects even great defensive coordinators with personnel advantages across the board. That's Alabama. That's anybody you want to name. It is getting harder and harder with the rules being as they are for any defense to play consistently well against a good offense. You're just not seeing it. The days of defenses being able to line up through speed, strength, size, depth, and coaching acumen to dominate offenses seem to be long gone. The times that you witness that are fewer and fewer and further between. I am not seeing it anymore, even with those who have 6 and 7 guys that are going to play on Sundays.
And I think the strongest argument to that point that you could make about, well, which one is really all that different? You know, we knew the defense by the time we faced Auburn in the national title game. And Auburn did not know our defensive signals the way that, Auburn's defense knew our offensive calls.
That's right.
And yet there were coverage busts left and right in that game. And we had a really hard time stopping Auburn on defense. We ended up getting a couple of stops.
RPOs, man, run-pass options have made it nearly impossible to get consistency from your defensive players. The rules are in place where linemen are downfield, and it's just they need to adapt the NFL rule, in my opinion, and then maybe we'll get back to seeing kind of dominant defensive performances, but it's not happening right now.
But if you're going to talk about the fact that, under Kelly, we looked like, hashtag a-holes against Ole Miss and Louisville and North Carolina. But against the same type of offense, against Auburn, we had a month to prepare for them in the national title game. We didn't look all that great either.
No, but we made adjustments into that second half and got things righted and obviously picked it up a notch on the offensive side, too. Kelly got the benefit of a second half schedule that didn't feature nearly as many of the spread offenses and those principles that we see. That's why we're so intrigued now about what we get from him coming into this year, because the season ended on an uptick, and we were excited about that. But we weren't certain, was that him adjusting to what had been done to them and his players beginning to understand it, or was that they didn't face very many of those kinds of offenses moving forward? And I'm nervous about it because I'm rooting for him. I can say that openly. I like the guy. I'm just going to admit to it. I like him. But me liking him has nothing to do with nothing. You either get stops or you don't, and they've got personnel, man.
You think we're breaking out any RPOs?
You don't have a backup quarterback, Tom, and I think it makes it a lot more difficult. He has always talked about not coaching scared, but our quarterback's not very big either, and he did have injuries a year ago. He is also a very good runner. If you want to coach in a way that shows no fear, and you want to take advantage of his skill set, you got to run him. The way the college game's played, the way you negate certain defensive advantages is you run your quarterback. It's a numbers game. You win with math and the rules advantages. We didn't do it as much as Alabama did it a year ago. Now, Jalen Hurts is a big dude, and he's a much better runner than he is thrower. Hopefully that he didn't get much better as a passer, because if he does, then we're all screwed because he can run it. But, I mean, I'd like to see it, but I'll cringe every time it happens. Because let's just admit it. Ain't nobody want to see J.J. Cosentino out there trying to do anything. That's not going to be
against the Alabama defense?
Well, against, yeah. He did have a very good spring. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Or haven't been making your student loan payments? Listen carefully to this urgent alert. Have you been out of school for 10 or more years and you're still making your student loan payments? Are your student loans past due or even in default? Can't go back to school because of an old student loan problem? We can help you if you qualify. Your student loans can be taken out of default. We can stop the wage garnishments, stop the collection calls, and stop the seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and see if we can help you reduce your student loan payments. One quick 10-minute call could solve them right now. So call the Student Loan Helpline now. 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201. That's 800-419-2201. This is a fee-based document preparation service to help you access free government programs. Call for complete details, not available in all states.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachian Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Want a bright start to summer? Ask Sherwin-Williams during the National Painting Week sale and save 30% on paints and stains May 19th through the 29th. With colors like pool blue, organic green, and daffodil, we've got everything you need to add a splash of color. Your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams paint store is right around the corner. Find it at sherwinwilliams.com/save. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
Before you lies a beautiful meadow. In that meadow, Progressive Direct has placed its auto insurance rates alongside those of competitors. You select the lowest rate and feel a great sense of calm. A great sense of...
Compare Progressive Direct rates with competitors' rates so you can rest easy. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Shot, save, rebound, score! The playoffs are here. The Corner Pocket is your home all spring long for all the heart-pounding moments in the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's held in a shot, save,
The Corner Pocket on Appalachian Parkway next to Earth Fair is your headquarters for FSU and Major League Baseball. Trivia Tuesdays, Beer Bingo Thursdays, and of course, all the moments you'll never forget. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
You're listening to the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
If you want to read about it, and maybe you do, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. We've talked about it off and on for quite some time now, but Andrew Carter, who used to be a beat writer here, did a good job today of writing about North Carolina's response to the NCAA. Seems like they have to do this annually. Their latest response to the NCAA's latest notice of allegations. That is in the News Observer, if you're wondering. And the university is arguing as it has in the past, that the problems related to the African Studies course at the heart of the NCAA investigation are not subject to NCAA bylaws. UNC's accrediting agency found those courses to be fraudulent, but the university maintains that the classes don't constitute a violation of the NCAA rules. UNC summarizes its basic argument in the first paragraph of the response, which is 102 pages. The public narrative for the last 6 years, popularized by media accounts, is that the Department of Athletics at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill took advantage of fake classes in the Department of African and African American Studies to keep student athletes eligible. That narrative is wrong and contradicted by the facts on the record, says North Carolina. UNC argues that the classes in question were equally available to all students, not just athletes. UNC maintains that no one in the athletic department took improper advantage of those classes. UNC is attempting to convince the NCAA that this case has been unfairly and accurately portrayed by the media. The NCAA, in its most recent notice of allegations, accused North Carolina of violating the principles of ethical conduct. Pretty straightforward. And extra benefit legislation in relation to those courses. UNC's response to that allegation is, because the issue of the courses is an academic issue, the university denies that there were NCAA violations, but rather academic violations. So they're admitting we had a fraudulent course. We're an institution of higher learning. We've made a mockery of academia. But this really shouldn't concern you.
And you know what? It's not an extra benefit to an athlete because these courses, albeit completely fake, were available to any student in our entire student body. So they could have gotten a free A for doing nothing, just the same as the athletes.
Which makes a mockery of our university and its prestige or lack thereof currently, but it is not an NCAA violation, Tom, at least according to them. That's their counter at this point. On the origin of the African Studies classes in question, North Carolina argues that they weren't created for the benefit of athletes, but that they originated from Professor Oro's and Miss Crowder's desire to assist students of all kinds with a wide variety of challenges. To that, you might say college isn't for everybody? North Carolina contends that some of the data presented in the widely cited Weinstein report, which was released in October of 2014, was incorrect. Asserted that athletes accounted for nearly half of the enrollment in the suspected African Studies courses. According to UNC's response, athletes only accounted for 30% of those enrollments. This is just, again, another response. This article is far-reaching and well done, and there's more to read, a lot more to read. I'm giving you some of the highlights there because it's been an ongoing story, and we've wondered why we've gone for, almost 7 years, I think it is, without the NCAA enacting any form of real punishment on North Carolina.
Though these tax rollbacks, and 75% of these tax rollbacks do benefit special interests, 25% of them do benefit the regular citizens of our fine state.
For the first time, North Carolina compared its case to similar cases found at Auburn and Michigan. North Carolina made that comparison when it noted that the NCAA enforcement staff declined to investigate the studies class for more than 2 years, from 2011 to 2013. From the response, the enforcement staff's conclusions were consistent with similar situations at Auburn or the University of Michigan regarding classes remarkably like the ones at the university. So, hey, other big-time schools have cheated by making up courses for their athletes, and we're no different than they are. I know. This will be fun to follow, right?
Define tone deaf.
Yeah. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Until you're 34. Recalculating. In 5 feet, don't have kids until you've done it all. Recalculating. In 10 miles, go petless until you buy a bigger place. Recalculating. The all-new, redesigned, re-engineered 2017 Jeep Compass. Whatever your destination, there's a million beautiful, ever-changing ways to get there. Jeep is a registered trademark of SCA US LLC.
This is Pete's yard, and Pete is ready to soak up the sun. But the intense summer heat could cause his lush lawn to wither, which is why Pete is giving his lawn a second feeding of Scott's Turf Builder Lawn Food. A second feeding summer-proofs lawns by providing nutrients to help prevent browning and withering on even the hottest of days. And who knows what will be more green, Pete's lawn or his neighbor's envy. This is a Scott's Yard. Pick up Scott's Turf Builder Lawn Food today.
Live market pricing is better than ever at Werner Hyundai during the Better Than Ever sales event going on now. You'll get the best prices guaranteed. Get up to $10,000 in total savings off a new 2017 Hyundai Sonata or up to $7,000 in total savings on a new 2017 Santa Fe Sport. You heard right. That's why it's the Better Than Ever sales event. These are the best deals in the 30-year history of Hyundai. Werner Hyundai does quick credit approvals over the phone and offers online delivery. Want to test drive first? Then take a better test drive. They'll pay for your gas if you go to them or deliver straight to you for a remote test drive. And when you test drive, get a free smartwatch or MP3 player while supplies last. Enjoy a worry-free purchase with a 3-day buyback program and get Hyundai Assurance with America's best warranty. A 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty and 2 years free maintenance. Why shop anywhere else? Werner has the best customer service, test drives, pricing, and warranty. Werner Hyundai, 252 Capitol Circle Southwest, or check them out online at wernerhyundai.com. Must approve finance through Hyundai Motor Finance with approved credit. See dealer for details. Sonata stock number GH329871. Santa Fe stock number HD492731.
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube. Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This day in sports history.
May 25th, 1935. Jesse Owens shocked the world when he broke or tied 4 world records in 45 minutes at the Big Ten Track and Field Championships in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The sophomore tied the record in the 100-yard dash, then set new records in the long jump, the 220-yard dash, and the 220-yard low hurdles.
We lead busy lives. That's why Superlube offers quick and convenient service with no appointment necessary at any of our 19 area locations. And remember, Superlube offers a free top-off service between oil changes, checking and topping off fluids, and tire pressure. But did you know that right now when you buy one wiper blade, you get one free, just in time for Tallahassee's rainy season? Superlube it every 3 months or 3,000 miles.
How I love to Superlube my car. Yes, sir.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I haven't answered the question yet, but I do appreciate that it's been asked a lot after the announcement, as we discussed this afternoon, that the Florida State-Miami game will also be a night game in addition to the Florida State-Alabama game. But the question has been posed on Twitter and in our email inbox, and via text for those that know me. The question is, of course, that's a Cat 5 maintain, correct? But I don't know, guys. I mean, it's, first of all, Miami might not be undefeated when they come to Tallahassee. I mean, that could be a lessened game. I mean, if they lose to Bethune-Cookman, or if they stumble against Arkansas State or lose to both, obviously that couldn't be a Cat 5 maintain at that point. So you got to make sure they've at least done their part in coming to Tallahassee with an undefeated record. And at this state of the game, at this place, this juncture in their existence, Miami's not a place where they can assume wins. And I'm certainly not at a place where from afar I can assume Miami's capable of going 2-0 against BCU and Arkansas State. That's a 1-1 prospect perhaps, maybe 2-0 if they play really well. Tough game.
Might be a dumb question, but would there be a Cat 5 issued, or to be more likely that a Cat 5 would be issued is the right way to ask this question, if Florida State beat Alabama or lost to Alabama?
Really, it doesn't matter what we do. I mean, we're busy playing a team ranked in the top 5 where we'll probably also reside. Our status as the main draw of that particular game is already firmly intact. So it's more about Miami doing what they're supposed to do and getting that big road win at Centennial Bank Stadium in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Remember, that's on the road for Miami this year. So to me, road games are not guarantees for the University of Miami.
So it's not about
it's not about what we do. We could win.
If we lost, we need to have this one kind of an angle.
No, if we win, we're the best team in the country, projected to play for a national title. We're the main draw. If we lose, we got to get some payback against one of our rivals, an opportunity at night in prime time at home. We're the main draw. So our situation is already entrenched. It's about what Miami does or does not do with those 2 games they have to start the year. And again, a road game against Arkansas State's the kind of game Miami could easily lose, maybe even badly. So I don't know that, they can do their part to ensure that in May 25th, I can proclaim that a Cat 5 maintain. What if Miami does lose to Bethune-Cookman? You won't be surprised. I won't be surprised. College football world will be mildly amused, maybe some who haven't been paying attention the past decade and don't realize Miami hasn't been any good would be surprised. But for the most part, we'd say, yeah, I mean, that's Miami.
If they're capable of losing to Bethune-Cookman, then they're staring 0-3 right in the face. Because I'd say the Arkansas State on the road game would be
at that point becomes
destination if they were going to lose one of their first 2.
Yeah. So you think so? They'd be staring 0-3, which also wouldn't be all that surprising. I'm going to guess, I'll project, I'll do a wins and losses for them. I have them beating Bethune-Cookman 21-14, and I have them getting past Arkansas State on the road. Last-second field goal, probably 24-21, somewhere in there, 24-21, something like that.
Okay.
So they'll win their first 2 games and feel good about it. Those are 2 big wins for a program like Miami.
Probably would see them ranked to the top 15 with the way the polls go.
Yeah, and they'd be buoyed by their efforts to procure those 2 wins. But obviously a step up in competition when they come play a real team and one that, again, as I note, on a regular basis has beaten them for the better part of a decade in a row.
So really, you think it'll be a last-second field goal at Arkansas State?
Well, if Arkansas State doesn't turn it over, they'll be right there in the 4th quarter. Okay. So it's it's Arkansas State, Miami. The talent gap isn't that great.
I think
honestly,
at the
2 schools,
we should probably put in a phone call to our friend Lee Sterling and see what Arkansas State's spring game looked like, and maybe that would give us a better idea.
You got me.
I got you.
You got me. Yeah, well, they got a kid. This kid who transferred. He's their quarterback. They thought the other kid was going to start, Tom, but now this lefty, he's pretty good. He was originally scheduled to go to Syracuse,
right?
But he ended up at Arkansas State because his dad played at Arkansas State, and Lee knew him when he was at Texas State.
That was a crazy thing. If you watched the 2016 Syracuse spring game,
you would have known.
This kid, Eric Dungey, nothing.
Yeah, this is going to be the starter.
Yeah.
But no, for whatever reason, they liked Dungey, and they ended up moving, and he transferred to Arkansas State. The other guy did, and he saw the spring game, and he wants you to know that kid right there can sling it. So it should be. Now, we made all that up. Kind of. I mean, we'll see. There may be some kind. It could be true. It's the kind of thing we would hear. But that said, I can't, with any degree of certainty, say that Miami will have done their part to make this a Cat 5 maintain. Again, it's irrelevant what Florida State does or does not do against Alabama. Their place as the main draw, and the only reason this game is ticketed for an 8 p.m. start time for the nation to watch, is because we're in it. It's certainly not because Miami's in it. They're irrelevant by and large and have proven themselves to be irrelevant in this rivalry for a very long time. So the networks that decide, hey, what time should this game go? Who's the draw? They go, well, clearly in this one it's Florida State. Will Miami be 2-0? Somebody, the higher-ups that make these decisions, decided that they're more comfortable proclaiming Miami would go 2-0 in those first two games than I would have been. I might have looked at some other game and said, well, at least I know so-and-so will be 2-0 in this situation.
You could have slotted, Florida State, Miami in that 3:30 regional window. For some people it's on ABC. For some people it's on ESPN2. That way you protect yourself. Hey, maybe you send one of the better crews to that game.
Sure.
But, in Big Ten country, who
right.
wants to watch an 0-2 Miami, take on a 2-0 Florida State team? Because it would be like watching Florida-Tennessee 2 or 3 years ago. You just knew what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah.
So how interesting is that game? It's not like it's 1997, So let's just call it a day.
Definitely not.
No.
It's been 20 years since 1997.
It could even be the smaller of the regional windows. I mean, maybe, Mowens calls the game. And then we just, move on.
So Miami, I'm asking you, do your part. Those of you Cane fans here in town that sport the flag every year before your annual ass kicking, if you could call down there and get them to play in a motivated fashion and win those two games to start the year, then maybe we will all have a chance to party on that fateful night. We can all celebrate once again with a Cat 5 maintainer sorts. I would like Florida State Miami to some degree to get back to being a Cat 5 maintained, but for that to happen, Miami can't be a middling team out of the Coastal, which is kind of what they are annually.
Boy, and I think if you ask Miami fans, how many Coastals do you think you guys would have won through the 2016 football season?
Coastals? Tom,
if
conference titles. They said all Canes conference.
They did, but it could have been the all Canes Coastal too by
That's
definition.
True.
That just kind of comes with it. It's implied. And if you presented, I'm being serious here. The day Miami was announced to join the ACC, if you presented the Coastal records for the other programs each year, and you said, this is what Virginia Tech's going to do, this is what Georgia Tech's going to do in Virginia, and so on and so forth, this is what they're going to look like every single season, how many conference titles would they be playing for at minimum? Not necessarily one, but how many Coastal divisions would Miami have commanded according to Miami Fan? Every single one? Because the Coastal's been open for business. And, unfortunately, Miami is going through a red tape issue of its own. It just can't get the clearance. It can't get the permits.
I'm looking now. You're right, Tom, by the way. These are all good points. I'm looking at the history of the ACC, and I'm going back through and trying to find those moments where, obviously when Miami joined, when Florida State joined, these are seminal moments. These are big-time moments where you could go and you look and you say, hey, 1991, Florida State joins the ACC, makes the announcement. What's that going to change the conference to be? What's that going to look like? And maybe you didn't do that same sort of thing when Boston College joined in 2005. You thought, what's BC going to do for us? Nothing. But, in other cases, you go, Miami joined in 2004, which is now 13 years ago. And they've never won the conference. They've never played in the ACC championship game. And they've never won the Coastal. They do have the one tie for the Coastal, I think it was.
Yeah,
they would have won the tiebreaker, but they opted to stay out because they had cheated and got caught. So then
that's the story at least.
Well, no, that's what happened. They got caught cheating, and they knew that they had problems coming down the pike. Now, the NCAA screwed it up, luckily for them. But the fact that they got caught that's inarguable.
Yeah, but they could have played the game if they wanted to.
Right, but they were saying that they were taking the high road there and punishing themselves. They probably should have taken the opportunity to play in the game that they've never reached before, because it may be the only time in that program's history that they have that opportunity. After all, certainly we've seen everybody else over there in the Coastal have their chances, or maybe not, if not get there, at least have an opportunity. Look at Duke, for example. There's a program that you would have never guessed before Miami to play in a game such as that.
Well, sure. I mean, when the Canes joined the ACC, I don't think they envisioned a day in which they'd celebrate a victory over Duke in football by commemorating it with a T-shirt.
And on a play that should have never counted.
Sure, but, just the idea that we're going to sell T-shirts about this momentous victory.
Well, they've watched North Carolina play for the ACC title. They've watched Georgia Tech play for the ACC title. They've watched Duke play for the ACC title. That's got to be a humbling moment.
I mean, well, they only sell T-shirts for two reasons. One, if you win a title of some sort, and two, if it's a rivalry. And it could just be in the way that we battle Clemson every year for the right to go to the college football playoff or the BCS title or win the conference. Maybe it's just that on their level, in some equivalent way, that's what Duke is to Miami these days. They are Miami's equal. And so, that's the one that,
it's a toughie.
If they ever had to move divisions or something like that, let's say Duke came over to the Atlantic, maybe Miami at that point would say, well, I know Florida State is our in-state rival, but Duke has been more on par with what we put on the field year to year. So maybe we should lock in an annual matchup with Duke.
Well, they've been a better
divisions.
program than Miami from a football standpoint these last
they've got
years.
the upper hand now.
I mean, they're the better program.
They've got the upper hand now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think Miami, these things are cyclical. Miami might catch Duke, for a couple of years, and then it will cycle right back the other way.
All right, so to answer your question, guys, I can't declare it a Cat 5 until Miami is able to navigate the choppy waters that are Bethune-Cookman and Arkansas State. If they are able to sail those seas and land upon our shores for Game 3 with an undefeated record, then I will happily proclaim that to be a Cat 5. Until that time, I just don't know.
Yeah, that's asking
just
too
don't
much,
know.
isn't it? Yeah.
It's a bit much to ask for Miami. Come back, wrap it up momentarily.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Give away various outdoor and water-themed excursions every inning, showcasing what the Palm Beaches have. Every inning, showcasing what the Palm excursions every inning, showcasing what the Palm Beaches have to offer. All fans in attendance are automatically Sail away with Roger Dean Stadium on Saturday, June the 10th, as we give away various outdoor and water-themed excursions every inning, showcasing what the Palm Beaches have to offer. All fans in attendance are automatically entered for a chance to offer. All fans to offer. All fans to offer. All fans in attendance are automatically entered for a chance to win. win. Splash around with Blue Line Surf and Paddle. Explore the Jupiter Inlet Lighthouse. Experience a majestic Princess Cruise. And that's just the beginning. One grand prize winner is going home with a Carnival cruise for two. Visit RogerDeanStadium.com for more information. That is the music of us saying have a great weekend on a Thursday. I don't know about you guys, but it may be time to crack a cold one and invite the weekend in a little early. Come on in, weekend. It could happen.
I don't mind if I do.
Yeah. Good to see your car pull in the driveway, weekend.
It's a new Mercedes-Benz.
Wrapping it up, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio on a Libations Thursday. Going to take the long weekend. That's what you do right there. Going to be a good time. And we're 1 week away, since I'm always propping up my own birthday, to prop up my youngest son's. His is 1 week from tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
He turned 7 years old. And, man, does that feel like a big boy to him. It also seems like a crazy amount of time has passed very quickly.
He's 1/3 of the way of being able to go to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill for Libations Thursday.
Yes, he is. He's adventuresome. He said, Dad, I was thinking that even though you had planned, you and Mommy have planned to drop me and Bryce off at Yaya and Grandpa Bob's house on your way down to Miami for the U2 concert. I was thinking that since our birthdays are so close, you should drop Bryce off and just allow me to go to the show with you. And I don't think Mommy will mind. Can you ask her about it tonight? I'm like, my man's going for it. And I said, well, so I'll leave Bryce with my mom, your Yaya, and Grandpa Bob's, and take you. And he said, yeah. And I said, well, here's the thing. Mommy and I have a ticket, and Uncle John has a ticket, and Aunt Jennifer has a ticket, and Uncle Matt and Aunt Kelly. But one of them is going to have to give up the ticket if you go. You don't get in free. And he goes, kids don't get in free? And I said, well, not kids your age, no. Maybe babies do. I don't know. But I don't think you bring babies to rock concerts. So I don't know. I've never seen it. And he goes, well, Mom can stay with Bryce. He's got it all worked out. This was the conversation.
He clearly practiced this in his head, too, before he brought it to you, because that is thoroughly vetted in his own mind.
Because he knows I'm going to give him reasons why that's not possible, and he probably organized them, and most likely, Dad retorts. Here we go.
He's a young public relations officer in the making.
Yeah, he's got things figured out.
So what you're saying is, when you're handing off the keys to the PR firm, it's not mine. There's nepotism.
Yeah, it's
Clark
going to happen.
Cameron's going to take over the PR firm.
Well, they get to see it in play every day within the confines of the Cameron household. They watch me manipulate situations all the time, and they're like, I see the pro even when he's dad. I see the king of the PR firm even working from the kitchen.
I think if he took over the PR firm, he would have to add the initial J to the front, so he would be J. Clark Cameron.
Oh, wouldn't that be good?
Which
that does sound
so
perfect.
pretentious.
Yeah, but like somebody who knows what the hell they're doing in public relations.
Today's keynote speaker for public relations in the Southeast is J. Clark Cameron.
And they're like, J. Clark Cameron?
Of the JCS PR firm.
Wow. Let's see if the apple fell far from the tree or not. I bet he's just silky smooth. And he'll take us out for drinks afterwards.
Jay Clark did not disappoint today, guys.
Good times. Let's do probable, shall we? Here we go.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
I knew it. I knew that's the right one to go with right there. That felt just about right.
It's very Friday-esque.
It is.
It's a Libations Thursday.
That's true. Cincinnati's playing Cleveland, and ordinarily none of you would care too much about that. But I will say Mike Clevenger is on the hill for the Indians, and a former employee of ours and friend of the program, is somehow related to Mike Clevenger. Is that right, Alicia?
Yeah, it's a cousin's husband, but
Yeah.
Hey, my aunt, my old Spanish teacher is the mother-in-law of Mike Clevenger.
There
So
you-
there you
so
go.
there you go.
That's her old aunt.
You
know?
two
Yeah,
are in some way connected to
I
Mike
am.
Clevenger, yes.
Yeah, lady who taught me Spanish. Hey, she's got a granddaughter, thanks to Mike Clevenger.
And more important than all of those personal relationships is that Mike Clevenger was called up onto the Jeff Cameron Show fantasy baseball team last week, and I'm going to need him to deal like he did in his last start. A repeat performance, Mr. Clevenger, please, in which he went 7 innings and struck out 8 and looked good.
Okay.
We'll see.
They're playing. Okay, so Billy Hamilton need not get on base.
Did you see him go first to home? That's a speedy little bitch. I keep waiting for that ankle to snap. I do. Every time he rounds second, I go, break your ankle, break your ankle, break your ankle.
Well, he's not a malicious dude.
Oh, screw him. We got to play him 47 times a year. He's ridiculous. I want him hurt solely because he hurts my team. Ruthless.
That is something.
Oh, I want him to have a good life. I'm not, I don't want him harmed permanently, long term, just enough to miss the rest of the season.
What if baseball is his life?
Well, he'll play next year. Padres, Mets. Lamet goes for the Padres. What a comeback for the Fathers last night, huh? Did you watch your bullpen?
Yeah. Oh, I've watched them all year. Yeah.
When the Padres are hitting you around late, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
ugh. Mm-hmm. Jacob deGrom goes for, I take it to beer, goes for the Mets. DeGrom became the first Mets pitcher in 18 games to record an out in the 7th inning in his last outing.
And Gesellman was taken out after 86 pitches through 6 last night.
Why? Is he struggling?
Well, Terry wanted him to
Were
end
you
on a
anxious
positive.
to get to that bullpen?
Yeah, Terry wanted him to end on a positive note.
Rangers, Red Sox, Nick Martinez, Drew Pomeranz, who got into an argument with his manager the last time he was taken out of the game. D-backs, Brewers, Robbie Ray, Zach Davies. Hey, Robbie Ray. Good to see you again, buddy.
It's a Robbie Ray day.
I'll tell you something right now. I don't want to play the D-backs. Every time I look up, they're hitting 17 home runs. I swear, Lamb, every night I watch a highlight, they're like, oh, Lamb just went yard again. That dude's Babe Ruth. It's ridiculous.
Ba Babe Ruth.
It's crazy. You don't remember the show Baba Black Sheep. The second time I get to bring this up in like the last year. And you know what I found out? The last time I brought it up, I wanted to refresh my memory because I remember watching it as a kid, and I thought, I wonder what year exactly that was and how long it lasted. It was a short-lived show, but it really made a mark in my young life. I watched, I think, like they made like, I don't know, a couple of years worth of episodes. That's it.
Was it animated? Were there puppets?
No. Warplanes, buddy. Biplanes out there getting it. That's what made the mark.
Really?
Yeah, that's what the show was about. Huh. Yeah, it was a good show. Tigers, Astros, Justin Verlander, Mike Fiers. Cardinals, Dodgers, Michael Wacha, Kenta Maeda. Maybe I was just getting to that age where you kind of start to understand that, the world's not perfect and there are bad elements and think people die and in this case they kill each other. And it just stuck with me like, oh.
Batman the Animated Series,
That did that for you?
Oh, yeah. This bad stuff goes on.
I like the animated series. After ripping superhero stuff the last couple of days,
Oh.
I would say I like the animated series.
That was outstanding. That was on, I want to say, 3 or 3:30 every day
It was
when I came
sinister,
home.
yeah.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
sinister element to it, yeah.
Mark Hamill's Joker is a really, for a young, it's a TV Y7 because they introduced when I was a kid the TV ratings.
Oh, yeah,
They didn't always exist. And it was TV Y7, that's up against it. You better be careful, parents.
Somebody could get kidnapped in this episode. They
Right.
didn't really ever show anybody die.
No.
Kidnappings were about the worst thing that could happen.
Like somebody would get knocked off a building, and then the back of their shirt would catch on the flagpole,
Right.
and then so they'd just be
they
dangling
didn't
from
splat.
the flagpole.
They
yeah,
didn't splat. What time do we play tomorrow?
we play at 3:00 if they haven't changed the schedule with all the backup. Let me check that.
Well, I didn't bother to ask because we'll be watching it somewhere, carefree, rooting on our Knowles to do the right thing and keep things going after the... Hey, so we signed off yesterday, and there it is. I mean, I'm barely in my car. And the celebration begins, sir, with a big-time dong.
Oh, that was a timely dong.
Yes.
Yeah, still a 3 p.m. start tomorrow.
All right.
what they did was they moved an overflow game to the University of Louisville campus today and tomorrow.
That's smart.
So that's how they can
How
get it all
about them
in.
apples? That's what you do. I used to get mad when they'd wait, sometimes till 9 or 10 in the morning. Be like, man, start that game at 7. Get up. What are we doing? People are at work. Let's go. Let's get these games moving. By the way, that last one again, Kenta Maeda goes for the Dodgers. Michael Wacha goes for the Cardinals. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump.
My fickle friend.
While you're sitting around this weekend, or if you're flipping about, lounging, whatever it might be, it's either Showtime or HBO. There's a pretty good documentary on kind of the dark internet. You know how I'm infatuated by this, but
don't ask too many questions.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's not the one that I learned about before, where there's a whole other world in which they're dealing babies and stuff like that. I mean, this is the effects of these lunatics, all the deniers, like the 9/11 truthers that are insane, whom when you find out about them and you read about their ringleaders who get everybody stirred up, you think, we should take them out. It's just disrespectful. All those poor people that passed in the way, here denying and getting people all crazed. It's nuts. Well, obviously the Holocaust. We've seen this over the years.
Sure, yes.
Well, there's one for, of all things, I don't. It's dark, but there's one for the people who deny these various school shootings and stuff, and they come after the parents and say that they've been put up by the government.
Yeah, that they're actors.
Yeah,
paid
that
actors.
they're actors. What are we doing here? Like, you know how insane you have. But what I found out, what was interesting, was that some of the ringleaders, some of the people who live online doing this and stirring the pot and attempting to manipulate the facts, that some of them are actually well-educated, good jobs.
Oh, yeah. I think you have to be in order to manipulate at that level. Yeah, right? You just use the power for evil?
Usually you have to be smart. You don't have to be all that well-educated or...
I believe the news outlet that propagated reports that Sandy Hook was paid for actors, I believe they were credentialed by the White House this past week.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
Well, we are ending on a...
It is a
hell
it's
of
a tall libation.
Oh, my goodness.
Singular.
You're right. I'm going
to get a big gulp of the libation.
Yes.
Credentialed to ask questions and participate in press briefings in Washington, D.C. Yes, that's true.
No.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Let's go play golf, man. Let's go bowling, Donnie.
You want to go bowling? I'll go bowling. Sounds like a good
Sounds like
time.
maybe we need to go
You
bowling.
want to go bowling?
I think we need to go
That's
bowling.
a great idea.
Let's go bowling, man.
We'll
Good
see
work.
you
Yeah.
at a bowling alley, people.
Or not. No, I don't need to interact. I just want to bowl.
Well, the great thing is when we get our $40 million facility for football,
yes,
you can ask Jimbo, hey, Jimbo, can I get keys to the bowling alley?
Come on, Jimbo. You and I, let's go. We'll bowl together. I bet that we get it on. I'll get some chicken wings. He likes chicken wings.
Pick up a damn spare.
Yeah, it would be competitive. It would be good. Who would you want to bowl against on that staff? You know who I wouldn't want to bowl against?
Odell.
No, well, yeah, because he could chuck it, right?
Yeah.
No, I think Charles Kelly would be intense.
He does have the icy eyes.
He would be intense.
I've got the 7'10"
no,
down.
I would worry about it.
7'10".
Oh, good Lord. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a relaxed, kind, fun-loving weekend. Maybe don't watch that internet special.
I'll bet you Bill Miller is actually a really good bowler.
Yes.
He's indoors a lot.
I'm
sure he's that type of guy.
Probably better at bowling than he needs to be, given how our linebackers have played. Just saying.
You sure are good at the bowling, Bill.
Yeah. My goodness. It's a lot of practice to get that good. Take care.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.